ICE pulls up and says, "Papers, please." Boy, what does that remind us of? And I don't produce the papers. Can they just say, "Okay, come with me. We'll sort it out later"? What were they thinking? And again, this case, because of who she is getting national attention. But how many other cases are going on where there is no such national attention? So the director of immigration at the Cato Institute, which is a libertarian think tank, posted on X today that there are internal checkpoints. We're not talking about within the 100-mile limit of the border. Internal checkpoints in the United States that they outsource to the various state police agencies, where people are stopped and checked for their immigration status. This means that you and I could be stopped and we could be questioned.
No, baby. No,
and if they suspect that we are not in the country legally, they can detain us. This is, from all my understanding of the law and the court decisions, not legal, but it's done anyways, apparently, according to the Cato Institute. But here we go. And the courts did rule in favor of some of the ICE operations. They were challenged for what they do at MacArthur Park in Los Angeles, because there are a lot of illegal immigrants that hang out at the park. And from my understanding, I've been in MacArthur Park. I haven't been there in years, but I have been in MacArthur Park. But as I understand, there are a lot of miscreants that hang out in MacArthur Park, but I think that's a LAPD issue. But at any rate, they'll come through MacArthur Park and they'll just round up everybody, bring them in, and then try to determine later whether they are immigrants or not. Illegal immigrants or not. Well, that's a fishing expedition. They're not allowed, according to court decisions, to make fishing expeditions, but in the case specifically of MacArthur Park, when it was challenged, the court ruled it is permissible. This is an erosion of freedoms, I believe, notwithstanding the fact that many people believe that our immigration policies were lax, and this is absolutely necessary for the betterment of the nation. Notwithstanding that, it means that you or I could be swept up. My ex-wife, she was born in the United States. She's Mexican. Anybody in her family, including my children who are half Mexican, theoretically could be picked up because they look like maybe they're not here legally. So, interestingly, as a result of what the Cato Institute tweeted out today, I went to their website to see if they had more on this issue. And as it turns out, they believe, this is a Cato libertarian viewpoint of it, that in the aggregate, all of this immigration stuff is positive for the nation. In the aggregate. Now, I know every time an illegal alien commits a heinous crime, it's a headline. And we are quick to say in my business, an illegal immigrant committed this heinous crime. We don't point out when a heinous crime is committed by a naturally born American citizen, that a naturally born American citizen committed the crime. The argument being, well, yeah, that's true, but if the illegal immigrant hadn't come into the country in the first place, he wouldn't have committed the crime that he did that we're talking about today, and that's true. That's true. Anyways, according to Cato, I want to throw this out into the mix. Asylum entries are down 99.9%. Student visas, family visas, and H-1B applications have all cratered. The Cato Institute concludes that the president's executive actions have blocked far more legal immigrants than illegal ones. And they say that the president's stated support for legal immigration does not match his policy record. They also talk here about the economic benefit of birthright citizenship, which of course is an important issue for us to consider today as well, given the Supreme Court decision. The Labor Department, they say, has inflated H-1B wages to force out skilled foreign workers. It says that Department of Homeland Security has quit granting green cards almost entirely. It says that people come into the United States to train as physicians on student visas, and then after we train them as physicians, the U.S. policy forces them to leave. This is not my argumentation. I'm just saying I stumbled across this as a result of the tweet that went out today by the Cato Institute. Whether you embrace their philosophy of libertarianism or not, they have a pretty good record of backing up their argumentation with facts. Now, in these cases, I have not gone back personally to vet out whether what they are stating on their website today is accurate or inaccurate, but I find it extremely interesting in the context of today's discussion, and that's why I present it to you. So with that, I will start calling people in the order which I see them on the stage, and I'm glad that the order begins with Marshall, who's right there in the McAllen area and knows the intimate details of this poor nun being held for 24 hours, even though she's legally a resident of the United States of America. Marshall.
Hey, Gary. Sad day. I don't think very many people knew that we had internal checkpoints, but we've had checkpoints at the two major highways. The two highways that run out of here are called 281 and 77, and they each have a internal checkpoint on them. And there's been arguments my entire life that says these things are a combination of both illegal and unconstitutional. I put more stock in the unconstitutional than the illegal. I've never been able to find a piece of federal code that says it's illegal. The sister Letty Boja, I think that's how you say her name, as soon as she was detained and word went out, all three Valley Congress people, two Democrats and one Republican. The Democrats were Henry Cuellar and Vicente Gonzalez. Henry Cuellar represents District 28, Vicente Gonzalez represents District 34, and Monica de la Cruz, who is the congresswoman I'm working for, represents Congressional District 15. All three went out of their way as soon as they heard to get her out. And the only thought I've had on this for the last couple of hours is, this is what happens when you run fast and break things. You catch people who shouldn't be caught in the first place. Instead of, what's the saying, Gary? You can have it fast, easy, or done right, but you have to choose between the two. I'm forgetting how that saying goes. But in order to administer this in the correct way, it needs to not be run fast and break things, which is what the administration is doing. And I'd be willing to bet you all the meager amount of money and possessions I have, Stephen Miller was the person who was responsible for this in terms of advice. Instead of Tom Holman, who under the Obama administration, under the Biden administration, was able to administer immigration services in a way where they did not result in nuns getting caught up who were American citizens, didn't result in religious people getting caught up who were American citizens. They did it slowly and they did it properly. They didn't do it fast. And I think one of the lessons we have to take away here is this is what happens when you do things fast and you run fast and break things. You end up catching people that shouldn't be caught up. And there is something seriously wrong with running fast and breaking things when it comes to actual people getting detained. Aside from the fact that she was a Catholic nun and a sister and deserved more than she got, this is how the administration has been acting. And I don't think there's another way to preface it or to say anything other than that the administration has decided that they would rather do things fast and do things effectively. They would not prefer to do them the right way. I'm not saying they don't do some things the right way. I'm not saying, in a couple of cases they don't get them right. What I am saying is that when you run fast and break things, people like this sister are the folks that get caught up. And that's just not right. So I'll leave it there for people that have extra questions. If you'd like me to go through and read the statements from all three of the congressmen, I will. I just didn't figure you'd want me to read their press releases. So I'm just more giving my opinion than anything else. I know Sister Norma Pimentel, along with the congresswoman and two congressmen, were instrumental in getting the sister out of detention. But this is just wrong. I don't think there's another way to say it. It's just wrong.
So, your comments there, Marshall, and I appreciate that input, lead me back to something that I said in the opening salvo, and that is, well, if it happened to her, we're hearing about it because of her stature in the community. How many other people is this kind of thing happening to? What is your sense?
Happened to a bunch of happened to 3 mariachis from Mac High, my high school. They got detained, and it took 2 or 3 weeks to get them out of detention. This has happened to at least 3 other Valley residents who are U.S. citizens or permanent residents. The only thing I can take away from this is, again, this is what happens when you run fast and break things. When the administration is more interested in shoveling out as many people as they possibly can, as quickly as they possibly can, you are going to wind up in a place where you make mistakes. And this, to say it in the politest form possible, was a mistake. I personally, it appears malicious to me. I often think the explanation for things getting screwed up is stupidity rather than maliciousness. But this seems malicious. To lock a nun up, along with the other people that have been locked up, the administration just does not seem to care about doing this the right way. They simply want to answer the campaign promise that people need to be gone. And if the majority of people in my party want them gone more than they want things done the right way, then they're not going to be critical of this because, oh well, she got caught up, but we have to get other people too. And I personally am in the camp of, you do it correctly. You don't just speed. So this has happened, like I said, to at least 3 other Valley residents, and at least 2 high school kids who were on the mariachi team and who didn't deserve to be caught up in the first place. But because the administration wants to run fast and break things, this is what happens.
Were those kids targeted because they play in the mariachi band?
Oh, no, not that I'm aware of, and not that any of the congressmen that helped them were aware of. but they were in the mariachi band. And when I went to high school, we had at least a quarter of the students coming over from Reynosa every day, our sister city. And, granted, they lived in Mexico, so legally they're not allowed to go to school in the United States. But they had an uncle or somebody else who lived here, and typically they would just list the uncle's address, and they would be able to come in and get education, which I never particularly minded and still don't mind. But there are people that come back and forth between Mexico to go to Valley High schools every day of the week. And I don't exactly know how the mariachis got caught up, but something happened and they got put in detention for 3 weeks. And it's just a travesty. Like I said, this is what happens when you run fast and break things. You don't do things the right way. I'll end with this. Do you know the saying I was talking about? You get it fast, easy, or correct? Something like that?
Well, you said it fine in your own words. I don't think we need to try to look up a saying. You said it just fine in your own words.
But I think that's what happens when you try to do it fast and easy instead of easy and correctly. Right? That you wind up with these sorts of issues, which are just not right. They're running roughshod over civil protections for people, and the problem is the next president of the United States will have the ability to use these precedents to do even more. As I always complain about presidential power, this is just providing a precedent for another president who would like to do something similar. Maybe it's not to the folks who live where I live. Maybe it's to Polish people. Probably not, but you get the point. That it's just to other people. And we should, as a population, zealously guard our civil protections. And the administration, for whatever reason, with Stephen Miller's help, I call Stephen Miller Voldemort, but that's just me. They have decided that it's okay to do it this way. And it's just, there's no other way to state it other than this is just wrong. It's just morally wrong to do what they're doing.
Thank you, Marshall. We'll go to Scott, followed by Ben.
So I'm getting, what I'm getting from that discourse that Marshall just shared is that he doesn't run with scissors in his house. So there you go. And I think that's excellent. Safety first, I always say. And, I agree with Marshall. You can do things well or you can do them fast. And many a woman has said that to me. But regarding the policies, and so I don't have a lot to say other than I largely agree with what Marshall said in terms of the sort of ham-handedness which comes from attempting to reach these goals, these crazy deportation goals, which were set, I believe, by Stephen Miller. Now, Stephen Miller said that he wants 3,000 arrests per day, which would be an official deportation target of 1 million a year. Now, to give some context to this, and to try to get a sense of just what that number means, Obama was called deporter-in-chief when he was president, and a lot of the left found that problematic, right? Obama did not have friends on the left regarding two issues, immigration and education. Arnie Duncan, his education secretary, was not popular for the reforms that he advocated on the left, and Obama was not popular, again, with many folks on the left because of his zealous deportation practices. Now, at the zenith of Obama's deportation, which occurred in 2012, from 2009 to 2016, he deported 2.7 million folks. That's over 2 terms. Logging an average of 343,000 deportations over the course of his term. His highest was 409,000 deportations in 2012. So that gives you a sense. The deporter-in-chief 1 year got to 409,000. Miller wants to more than double that, okay? And I think exactly what Marshall's saying. If you have these zealous, I think unrealistic goals, you're just going to start locking up nuts. Like anybody brown, anybody black, anybody that looks like they can tolerate a hot tamale or fire sauce at Taco Bell. Lock them up, right? I mean, this is what's going to happen, right? So I mean, I just think that these goals are insane. And so yeah, I mean, I think Marshall's right. I think Miller is I mean, ultimately Trump is responsible for anything in this administration, but I think Marshall's right. I think Miller is driving the train here, and this million-person goal is what is largely leading to the ham-handedness and crazy detentions and deportations. I mean, this is crazy, and I think again the benchmark is what's to blame in part. Thanks.
Benchmark, goals. Come on, use the right words, Scott. They're quotas.
They are quotas, yeah. They are quotas, yeah, absolutely.
The other thing is Stephen Miller versus Holman coming up with the quotas and the methodology of filling them. That's fine to observe, but as Harry Truman said, the buck stops here. So isn't the president ultimately responsible for the policy, whether we agree with it or disagree with it?
Yes, he is. 100%. He's absolutely responsible for it. I think Stephen Miller is motivated by it. Sorry to jump in, Scott, but Stephen Miller is absolutely the person who put this thing in motion, but Donald Trump is responsible for it.
Yeah, we know with this president, one word from the president, people do what they tell him to do, even if he doesn't talk to them directly. Remember, he directed the former attorney general to do something via a social media post. This is a very unconventional presidency, but he certainly demands from his appointees that they do exactly what he tells them to do, whether they agree or disagree with that policy, and I guess that's his right and responsibility as President of the United States. But I just wanted to make it clear that, I know a lot of people want to make Stephen Miller public enemy number one, and he has great sway over the president, etc. But ultimately, as George W. Bush said, I'm the decider. And Donald Trump is the decider, right? Ben, followed by Brent.
Gary, that was the understatement of the year. This is an unconventional presidency. Gary, Glenn's a little understated.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to accommodate our British listeners. Ben, followed by Brent.
Yeah, indeed, very unconventional, very much so. I think, we're talking about immigration today in this room. To start off, something fresh, the birthright citizenship case was just decided. And even though the majority of the court held that there is the Constitution provision, basically they did not overrule the previous case. And then allowed birthright citizenship, if you will. But I think the fact that that case even went up to the Supreme Court, where the constitutional wording really is very, very clear, and there's also not only there was a constitutional amendment to address that issue that derived from Dred Scott, as well as the plain reading of the textual, the words of the Constitution. A lot of the conservative justices should adhere to the originalism or even textualism. Still, this case, the Supreme Court decided to take this case. So I think that tells you that even in such a clear-cut case, where the plain language of the Constitution provides that this administration does not stop there. They still want to push further to accomplish their really political goal, which I consider is really anti-immigration. And that anti-immigration sentiment is like Gary, like you were saying, it's not just against so-called illegal aliens, or more specifically illegal violent aliens, but rather to legal immigration as well. And on that second point, a couple of days ago, there was another case that came down from the Supreme Court where the court allowed the border control agents to basically take away the so-called green card holders' rights to enter this country. Instead, they allow the border control to parole these individuals, meaning that they would have to prove once again, even though they have a green card already, having gone through the whole process of obtaining a green card either by marriage or by work, but the Supreme Court allowed them to really go against, allow border control to detain them, to parole them into the U.S. and then start a removal proceeding if they decide that there's legal grounds, such as crime being committed by these individuals. And that is a very, very substantial departure from what the 8 U.S.C. I think Section 1101, that provision where Congress said we want to have these legal immigrants, the green card holders, to be presumed as resident, as admissible, only if there's exceptions that they have committed crime. And the Supreme Court basically said that, well, they need only to be charged as a crime. The conviction can come later after they have been detained or paroled into the U.S. at the border control. Meaning that at the moment that they entered back into the country, the border control agent can say, oh, you were charged with a crime, therefore you're considered as committing a crime, therefore I'm not going to allow you coming in as a sort of automatic admission into the U.S. I'm going to put you up to, I'm going to demote you into a category that just like any other aliens, you have to show that you're admissible into the U.S. Because maybe a couple years down the road, you may be convicted of the crime that you're being charged. So I think it's really very bizarre. It's really, I don't think there's any legal basis to make that type of decision. But the court did make that decision. So against legal immigration, this court has been really following the trend of being very hostile to illegal immigrants. Back to the so-called illegal immigration. Gary, remember you mentioned that Trump is merely doing what he promised during the campaign. Well, the promise he made in the campaign, which presumably voters agreed with, was to remove violent, criminal, illegal aliens. And from the past 2 years, the type of individuals that were removed, I think the numbers told us that the majority of the individuals, the illegal aliens, they were not violent at all. There were no crimes being alleged or let alone from convicted. And this type of behavior of interrogating individuals to show their citizenship or immigration status, even though it may sound far-fetched, even though you may say, Gary, that we don't need to carry our IDs, I think actually with the way the ICE has been powered by the Supreme Court, yet by another case, the Los Angeles case, the case that you mentioned, they can literally use the so-called fall criteria to stop people and ask them to show their papers as in relevant to the immigration status. And some of those factors, Gary, is whether you speak foreign language, number one. Number two, whether based on your race or ethnicity, it's outright blatant racial profiling, which we all knew that the court did not allow police to do in terms of driving while black or driving while whatever.
Driving while black.
Now,
driving while existing?
You're allowed to do just that. And depending on where you hang out, if you hang out around Home Depot, like this particular nun, I don't think she was hanging out at Home Depot. Maybe that's not even a necessity anymore. So I think the danger is here. Even though some of us may think, hey, I'm blonde and black, I'm blonde and blue, no big deal. But what about other people who do not look like they are blonde and blue? God forbid, they look like Mexican, Gary. I don't know how your children look, but if they happen to, God forbid, speak Spanish, that could be one of the criteria. The ICE agents could actually say, hey, come, show me your immigration papers. And the reason I'm detaining you is because you speak a different language, specifically Spanish. So I think these are not just, happening to some small segment of the population, quote unquote, the violent illegal aliens. It's really impacting many other people. I would gladly concede that it may not impact in again certain segment of population where they do look like they're not foreigners, but the U.S. is a country of immigrants. Many of us here do look like immigrants. We're not all blonde and blue. So I think the rights that are being affected is going to be cutting across a large population of the U.S. And more importantly, I think the court's decisions have really weakened our democratic structure, giving this administration so much more power and so much less sort of check and balance as the Constitution had intended and the framers had intended. And it's going to be very, very dangerous if this trend continues. And the last thing I want to say is that it's actually ironic that there's so much news about this particular nun being detained and so much outcry. Imagine many other people have encountered the same situation as she has, and congressmen, not three of them, or Democrat or Republican, all come out to save her, if you will. But just because they were not none, they were just run-of-the-mill immigrants, if you will, and yet those are happening on a daily basis. In fact, ICE has gotten so much more money from Congress. We're almost supporting it. All of us, our tax dollars are being used for ICE to allow ICE agents, some of them are not very well trained, to do these type of I consider really egregious and really threatening our structure type of a behavior. And I think this is something the trend is going to continue until really maybe a possibility is midterm election. There could be some change in Congress to somehow rein in this executive branch's wild behavior of targeting immigration. And again, one other thing I want to add is that you may think Marshall mentioned this on your fast and easy, maybe not the right way to do it. Well, actually, if it's fast and easy and accomplish a positive outcome, whether economically or politically, there still may be merit for those of us who support Trump or MAGA voters. But guess what? What ICE has been doing, it's not really helping the U.S. to begin with, because legal immigration is being impacted. There are, capable scientists, engineers, and nurses or doctors that are having a hard time coming to the U.S. to help build the economy, even at the lower, sort of less educated.
No, it's not just help build the economy, but it's to take care of our aging population. Our aging population, depending on where you are, there's a good likelihood that somebody from India, somebody from the Philippines, or somebody from Haiti will be your primary care giver. Now, maybe in other parts of the nation, it's somebody from Latin America. I'm not that familiar. But the point is, these very, very tough jobs, taking care of people as we reach our golden years. A lot of Americans aren't willing, ready, and able to do that. So it's not. It's really a problem. I understand it's part of the discussion now in the body politic of Southern Florida. If Haitians are no longer made welcome into the United States, and if their numbers are diminished substantially as a result of government actions, they're concerned about the care of the elderly people in Southern Florida, which we all know there are a lot of old folks there.
Absolutely, it's really counterproductive and counterintuitive. If you look at Europe, we need people. The birth rates are reducing. There's not enough people that are giving birth to labor forces. In 20-some years, we do need. See, this is.
I don't think there are enough white South Africans to fill the gap.
I doubt it. Or even other sort of Western European nations, they're not coming to the U.S. in droves. I really think, honestly, even forget politics, liberal, conservative, from a practical perspective, immigrants can be a very positive contribution to the U.S. without violating the laws. we have some great examples. A big part of our economy, if not the majority, have been helped by having legal immigrants, all the way starting in the 1930s or 40s, and even in the 80s and 90s. So it's really to have such a attitude towards immigrants, whether it's legal or illegal, birthright or not. I think it's really counterproductive. Even if you assuming you are a MAGA voter, you support Donald Trump and the Republicans and some conservative causes, this is really not helping anyone, and it's really weakening our social structure, democratic structure, and it's really costing money. It really is costing money for what? All for the quota of 1 million individuals to be deported. Where does that even come from? Are there any decisions from the courts that came out that said we do have illegal immigrants, violent ones that are over 1 million people per year? No, it's just a number that whoever, maybe Steve Miller, whoever, pulled out of thin air. That is so not. That's so anti-American, right? We accuse other countries of being facetious, being making decisions based on ideology, not on facts. Well, that's what the U.S. is doing in terms of what ISIS is doing. This is something I think it's really the voters should really wake up and smell the roses, if you will. Otherwise, there won't be any more roses to smell because you won't have enough gardeners, agricultural workers, all across various different stratosphere of the economy. We need immigrants. So what ISIS is doing is really just is a terrible thing.
I want to revisit, Jane, hang on there, we'll get to you. We do one at a time here. I want to revisit very briefly your initial comment about the birthright decision. My understanding is that the White House really didn't expect that this would, they would prevail in the Supreme Court on the executive's right to eliminate birthright for certain individuals and or certain categories of people. But they wanted to force it into the public forum. And in fact, in an opinion of one written by Justice Kennedy, he almost suggested to the administration that you can still achieve what you want to achieve if you try to legislate a change. It was not a unanimous decision, and a lot of constitutionalists would say, well, this is a no-brainer. This has been, since the inception of our country, the Constitution is unambiguous, and yet several justices dissented, and even Kennedy, who voted with the majority, basically told the president, well, here's another way for you to go at it. So I don't know whether this birthright question is completely out of the political realm, whether it can gain traction in Congress. Personally, I don't think it can. The American public certainly doesn't, according to the polling, agree with the president's attempts to limit birthright possibilities. But there is a pathway that a justice apparently suggested to the executive branch today.
So, Gary, that's a great point. Just a minor clarification. It's Justice Kavanaugh.
Yes, I misspoke. Justice Kavanaugh, thank you.
No, even though it's a 6-3 decision, but it's really 5-4, because only, as you're saying, only 5 justices believe that the Constitution should be read that way, that there's a constitutional right. Kavanaugh did not think that, even though, as I said in the beginning, the constitutional language is very clear. But Kavanaugh, all people believed in the breathing, living Constitution, which was a criticism that conservatives launched against liberals in their constitutional interpretation. That they would ridicule the liberal justices to say, oh, Constitution is living and breathing, ha ha ha. They would believe that Constitution should not be changed. It doesn't matter, it's at 2026. But because if the words are clear, the text is clear, originalism, textualism, we should read it that way. Evidently, Justice Kavanaugh is in the camp of the so-called former liberal justice legal philosophy now. Be that as it may, I think it is very fragile. Again, as a 5-4 majority in terms of birthright citizenship, imagine if Trump has a chance to replace another Supreme Court justice. Let's say, assuming one of the justices, the 5, whether it's the 3 quote-unquote liberal one, or just Chief Justice Roberts or Amy Coney Barrett, if they actually were to leave, then this case will be gone. In terms of there will be new. This particular court is very much of an activist court. They're not afraid of overruling their previous precedents. Like you just said, this birthright citizenship not only is clear in the constitutional language, with the exception only subject to foreign subject to the U.S. jurisdiction as an exception, meaning if you're a foreign diplomat or if you're a soldier fighting in the U.S., if you're an invader and you give birth, you're the enemy of the U.S. and you're invading the U.S. and you give birth, then your children will not be entitled to that. Other than those very clear exceptions, all people born in the U.S. should be U.S. citizens. Now that is going to be read very differently if the composition of court changes. So I think this particular court and this administration may still attempt to use a legislative process, even though that again that should not be upheld if the Constitution is read literally in its text. But who knows? Maybe there's going to be enough congressional changes in the direction that's favor of Trump. Maybe there will be a constitutional amendment, which again, that's fine. If the U.S. decides we're going to amend the Constitution to take away the birthright citizenship, do it. Just like what we did in terms of granting birthright citizenship in response to Dred Scott and the slavery scenario. But this should not be done via a constitution, via a legislative process. Meaning, if there's a majority of Congress that decides we're going to move U.S. this way, I think the courts should still come out at that time to say no. We don't want a majority tyranny situation happening. If we have a constitution, we still want to read the constitution as it's written, as it was drafted and written. But again, it's a very fragile, Garrett. It's a very fragile situation. This court, this composition, and this particular executive branch is very, very active. Trump already said something on Truth Social that he's not going to start that. And he even vetoed, by the way, this is off the point, but he even vetoed the housing bill that majority of Congress passed. So, it's not, we're still in this wild ride. Whichever camp you are in, again, liberal or conservative, MAGA or not, this is a period of time that we have to keep our eyes open and, go to the polls when we can.
Thank you, Ben. We'll go to Barbie, followed by Ed.
Hi. I have a few thoughts on this, I guess. One, and the first thought is, why is anyone making a big deal about a nun getting stopped? Because, I don't know if it boggles my mind that because why she's wearing a habit and she's elderly and she was walking just innocently and she is legal, except for the actual vestments. This has been happening for months now to literally thousands of people. And it just blows my mind that when it's something that is symbolic, like an old nun, suddenly it's, oh, this is terrible. Well, where has everybody been? This is nothing new. It's really not. And I'm so glad that they helped her. God bless her. I'm glad she had the representatives, but how many people don't have any kind of visibility or contacts on any level to help them, and they're languishing right now? So, sorry to sound so whatever, but it just really drives me crazy. And I would say that it's not just you could say it's, moving fast and breaking things. I think it's moving fast and breaking people. And so that is, it's not really, the moving fast, the actions arise out of a philosophy, actions arise out of a state of where people's hearts are at. And this is not a result of just, moving fast and breaking things. This is a result of a deep-rooted policy, a deep-rooted xenophobia that says that anybody that is darker skinned than me is really not welcome here. Let me protect what I have, what I think I have built on my own, a la Megyn Kelly's rant the other night, which was laughable, but anyway, she seems to think that she and her people have built this country. So, that's my first reaction is obviously, as you understand and know, I care deeply. And yes, of course, it's ridiculous and terrible and a violation of all kinds of things that she was arrested, not just questioned, but actually literally detained. Like, that's unbelievable. But that's, I find it almost, I choose to believe the best, but I find it almost, what's the word? It's definitely hypocritical. I don't know. It's just strange to me that there's outrage about this when this is happening every day, all the time. That's one point. And then, the part about our aging population and who is taking care of them, that is definitely a point, a very strong point, Gary, that you were mentioning. I know here in South Florida, the Haitian population is certainly very, very much a part of life here. And it is absolutely true. It was always, TPS was temporary. That's understood. But at the same time, if people have proven to integrate, people have proven to be earning a living honestly, they've proven to be adding quality of life to many, many elderly people here. I see them everywhere. We go to doctor's appointments and everywhere. You have very frequently Haitian caregivers going along with the elderly residents, and it's just services that they need, and they go with them, and they could give them rides and take them shopping or take them to the doctor, etc. So, it's that. And then the other thing somebody mentioned about population, and what's fascinating with that whole aspect, everything has tentacles and everything has repercussions, because yes, it's true, the U.S. population is not going to be able to keep up, but the kicker here is that what people want is they want more white babies, they don't want more brown babies, and they're very explicit about that. And what that's turning into, this is a whole separate subject, I'll only say one thing about it, what that's turning into is tremendous pressure on the white women married to these white men to be trad wives and to have as many babies as possible, quote, before you're even ready for it or before you can afford it, is what they're being told, and that's a direct quote. So it's funny, but there's so many repercussions from all of these strange and very xenophobic policies. And the very last thing I feel, I really have been, speaking of TPS and all of this, really devastatingly heartbroken over what's happening in Venezuela. And what is really especially heartbreaking, I know the U.S. is sending aid, etc. But these people that Trump has, I mean, if he went in and supposedly, had a bit of a coup to try and have better people in power, well, these people that are in power, it's being demonstrated. I'm seeing video after video of just how absolutely awful they are being. They're not able, the government in Venezuela is not helping in any way in the recovery efforts. In fact, there's video after video of the military actually looting some of these devastated places while civilians are standing next to them, yelling at them, and trying to dig with their bare hands their people out from under these buildings. And I am have not heard one peep out of Trump or anybody, in any way reprimanding or saying anything against the government that he's supporting in Venezuela. I mean, it's the point where they're actually questioning regularly the topos. They're called it's a Spanish word for mole, which is these rescue teams that are highly experienced. They come from Mexico and other places and are there as volunteers, literally making tunnels under the rubble. And you've got the military, supported by Trump, apparently, Delcy's people, literally asking them for their papers over and over again, like twice a day. The same people are being asked by the same guards for and they're told, well, that's what we're told we have to do. So that's, again, a result of our convenient interventionism. So we went in there and we did a few things, but it was all a lie. It was nothing to do with democracy or helping the people. So this immigration question is complex. It's complex and it has a lot of implications in a lot of areas. And I really, really, really would love people to have some integrity when it comes to this issue and be consistent with it. Because if someone's being beat up next door every single day and you know about it, but one day the person that gets beat up is an old nun and that's when you get mad, you've got to question yourself and your own standings.
So, Sister Letty, as they call her first name's Letitia, but they call her Sister Letty, is 56. So I don't know whether 56 is considered old today.
No, well, not to me, but I think to some of our younger people here that people do think that she's old.
Well, okay, but to me, anybody under the age of 40 is a kid. Is that fair? I don't know.
I'm right there with you, Garrett.
So it's a question of perspective, and I understand that. As I pointed out in the opening salvo, the news cycle is such that there's so many things popping up that supplant things that were so important to us yesterday that they are forgotten today because another crisis is thrown in front of us. So we were all over Epstein, we were all over immigration, we were all over this, we were all over that. Lately it's been Iran. And now, as a result of this, we have opportunity, I guess, to focus on the immigration issue again. You're right, and as I pointed out,
it's really interesting to me how most people will fall into categories based on their experiences. Like, specifically with jobs, if you have XYZ job, then you are more likely to have another certain type of job.
I said if it's happening to the sister, it's happening to a lot of people, we just don't hear about it.
If you have XYZ job, then you are more likely to have another certain type of job. For example, I'm a sex worker now, but my first job ever was a daycare teacher, and I loved working with kids, but then I transitioned into working with elderly people with disabilities, and then I worked as a CNA, and I was going to become a nurse. So the bulk of my jobs I had growing up were caregiving jobs, and I've heard that this is a common connection among people.
And I have to remember
I'm not sure how caregiving jobs can lead to sex work or
the algorithms, etc. Not everybody sees everything, and some people are not aware that this is happening.
Well, I wasn't aware of this nonsense in Venezuela where the rescue workers are being harassed by the military. What kind of bullshit is that?
Not only that, let me tell you one other thing about Venezuela. I was about to sign up.
Did I misspeak again? Did I not?
No, you're 100% correct.
Okay, I thought I misspoke.
No, I just want to add one thing, just so you know, that the other thing that just today happened in Venezuela was that they have somebody down there created an app for those of us who are bilingual, fully able to translate, to be able to volunteer, even remotely, to translate for so many international workers that are there trying to help into Spanish and back and forth, right? So I had saved it. I went back to sign up for this. And when I went back, the notice was up that site had been taken down by the creator, because what was happening was the government had somehow gotten a hold of the database and was now harassing the local Venezuelans that were also volunteering to interpret in these situations. because of being paranoid that there's spies infiltrating, et cetera, et cetera. So he literally had to shut the site down.
Hey,
So
hey,
now
hey, let the people die. It's an unintended consequence to protect the homeland from the spies.
Yep. Yep.
Oh my, get your priorities straight here, Barbie. Let the people die so that we don't get any spies in Venezuela who are crawling on their hands and knees, digging through tunnels. What's the matter with these people running that government?
But according to Trump, they're doing a great job. I mean, he just recently praised them, so.
Okay, well then if the president says it, it must be true. Thank you. I stand admonished and corrected. Thank you, Barbie. Agent followed by
Yeah, it's interesting. I'll try to build off what a previous speaker was saying regarding, let's take a look at the nun incident. Let's take a look at Venezuela. It's interesting. I just looked up, and 150 million U.S. This administration, this evil, corrupt administration, gave $150 million to faith-based charities, including the Catholic Church, probably very strongly including the Catholic Church. I don't have the exact numbers for you.
It's Catholic Charities, which is a wing of the Catholic Church, but it's all Catholic charities.
It's one of them, yeah. I know it is a collection of faith-based relief organizations got the $150 million, and then a lot more was, there's teams from Fairfax, at least 150 trained rescuers, dogs, etc. So $300 million total was sent by the administration to try to relieve the situation, I guess, or help rescue people under rubble and so forth in Venezuela by the deeply corrupt Trump administration, who, yes, at the same time, I guess, one of, I'm not sure how many ICE agents were involved, some of these federal officers who arrested a nun. We can assume, I'm assuming that it was completely unjustified and in error, at least from a legal standpoint. And, she'll be able to sue, I hope, and get some recompense for the damages of being falsely arrested. But, as far as like attacking the church and all these things, I think it's sort of a mixed bag, we could say, this week. And they're certainly leaning heavily and putting significant financial resources, government resources, through the church to help the people of Venezuela in this last week. As far as but if you zoom out, just let's talk about the immigration. I think that there's a clear mandate. First of all, there are laws written that you're not allowed, there's a series of laws, various laws, that you're not allowed to be in the country without some form of documentation, right? A visa, a granting of amnesty that has not been canceled, or citizenship, a green card, various things. And I'm sure that officers empowered or directed to enforce these laws make mistakes sometimes, and I think this is a problem. And this shouldn't happen, and we should reduce
Agent,
this.
it's Title 8, Section 1325, which is what you're looking for.
Thanks, I didn't have that memorized. That's really good. So, point being, I agree with all the speakers who said we need to do a better job. We need to do this correctly. We need to minimize false positives, minimize false negatives as well. We need to get everyone we arrest needs to be, basically, if you're setting out to enforce the law, then you should aim to get 100% of the criminals or people in violation detained and deported or processed, let's say, in as orderly and humane and efficient a process as possible. And you should have no mistakes, no false positives, no people arrested or even spoken to who are not in violation, if you can achieve that. There are different ways. I think there are companies like one of Peter Thiel's companies that he sponsored, Palantir, is probably helping with this. I know it's very expensive. There would be other legislative ways of requiring more documentation and things like this, or just more touch points and proofs that could be offered. And so national ID comes up, and a lot of people, both the left and the right, for various ideological reasons, are against things like national ID. When I tried to travel in China, and everyone had to have their national ID, you had to go through readers. It was very efficient for everyone who had their national ID. I didn't have a national ID because I was a foreigner, but I had a passport. There was no way I was going to be boarding a train or anything without a passport. And I'd have to go get it manually checked and so forth. They checked my visa status. If those things were out of order, I can guarantee you I wouldn't have lasted very long in China. That's a country that's like, decided that efficiency and getting everything correct, minimizing the false positives and the false negatives and getting, 100% accuracy, that's one of their real design goals there, and they're willing to implement the systems necessary. I would like people to have holistic, when they speak about this, at least be willing to not just say, oh, this is so bad, isn't this so bad? That's what Scott Adams used to call like a half opinion. It's like, okay, you really haven't thought about this whole thing from start to finish, and like, is your goal to just destroy the system and tear it down and make it non-functional? Do you want to live in a third worldist kind of way that things are just, that actually corruption is the system? Or do you want to design things efficiently and properly so that everything works smoothly and correctly? And I just tend to not hear that with the people who focus on the emotional, things of, oh, this person got, I agree, it's like, it's pretty sloppy. It doesn't look good. I think it's a disgrace, if I'm honest. But I think we should really talk about systemic ways we can make things work properly. Thank you.
We have a problem in our nation is when we identify a problem, which, of course, people know exists until, the enemies of the state, meaning reporters, bring it out into light. And then suddenly it's gotten the attention of the government that we try to fix the problem without looking at the unintended consequences, or they don't care about the unintended consequences. They're only perhaps caring about the political capital that they will gain by quickly addressing this problem, and now vote for me and I will set you free. That's how it works. And so we do not, as you suggest, take a holistic approach to anything. Just as an example, when the reporting came out about how horrific the warehousing of people were with mental issues in New York State, where it was shown that these mental institutions were, one flew over the cuckoo's nest in real life. The answer to that was tear down the mental institutions and put them in houses, community-based housing, and now we have a bunch of emotionally disturbed persons, as they are called in New York City, running around menacing people and then sometimes killing them. So was the problem real? Yes. Yes. But they didn't take the time to think out fully the solution to the problem. So in this case, was the problem of people crossing the border during the last administration unimpeded real? Yes. But as the Cato Institute points out, and has been echoed in his remarks, the policies that have been enacted by this administration to combat that problem have resulted in more legal immigrants being kept out than illegal immigrants. Much less the question of the illegal immigrants, whether they are law-abiding otherwise, or whether they are really a threat to society, which is another argument that's made all the time. But set that aside. The people who should be coming in here legally are not, or at least by previous policies were allowed to come in here legally, are not. So sometimes the medicine can kill the patient.
Gary, this was Bill Maher's point to J.D. Vance on the show last week. He said to J.D. Vance, why does it always have to go to the extreme? He said, you've been to Biden. Biden went too far with the open borders and without us first. He said, why do we have to go to the ICE and this sort of stuff with the nine and the stuff that Barbara's like? This is very interesting. It's just Maher's point about why do we do these policies? Is exactly what you're saying. So, it's the treatment that is worse for the patient.
Thanks for that, Scott. And by the way, I don't know whether you moved to another location, but your connection was not optimal that time. Thank you, Agent J, followed by Big M.
Okay, so I think that what oftentimes is understated and underemphasized in the conversation is that all of this is rooted in racism. There's some people who mentioned, the lady who was here earlier who mentioned, that what is truly wanted is white babies, white people replacing, they want people, we need people in order for the country to run, but we only want to utilize or tolerate rather people who certain people deem as less than, really due to their own delusion and hatred, which really is a mental illness. It's funny because they talk about the LGBT community as having mental illnesses when really racism is a mental illness, because the idea of you thinking, or anyone, not you, anyone in this room, but I'm just saying, the idea for anyone to think that they're better than anyone simply because of the color of their skin, or their ethnicity or anything is absolutely insane. It's a mental illness. So, I just wanted to put that out there, especially because conservatives love to throw that around when it comes to, my community. I think that we need to be, as a collective, Americans and just people, who actually care about, borders, everything. Yes, everybody agrees that borders need to, a country needs to have borders, all of that. That's not breaking news. It's not groundbreaking, flowers for spring. It's not groundbreaking, So I think when it comes to actual solutions, there are legitimate pragmatic things that can be implemented, as far as, making the system faster. It should not take, years and years for people to become citizens of this country. I'm sorry, that's absolutely ridiculous. It's 2026. There is enough people and enough willing people, judges, staff, to get this done in a timely fashion. I have personal experience, knowing, with this, in terms of, I was born in this country, just for the record, just in case anybody wants to doubt that. Let's be clear. But I'm saying I have personal experience with, people that I'm close with, coming to this country, and it's a mess. It's an absolute shit show, and it's woefully inefficient, and that's by design. And I think that we actually, if we want to come in at this, with good faith, and we actually want to improve things, then we need to hold our politicians' feet to the fire with their intentions, because their intentions have been twisted from the beginning. This is not rocket science. There are pragmatic ways to actually implement, these changes to make this, make people, you want people to be, there's so many illegals. Well, then get the legal system together. Because if people are coming here, most of the people who come here, they come here just like everybody else. Everybody, well, not everybody, but there are plenty of people who want the American dream, and they deserve to have a chance at it if they're coming here, with things to offer, with all of their, all of their culture, all of these things. It's like nobody has an issue, when they're, going to, they have a craving for some tacos and they want to, then Mexicans are fine. Or when they want some sushi, then Asian people are fine, or whatever. It's like you want to pick and choose when what part of culture that you want to benefit from people, or you want the culture but you don't want the people. It's really disgusting. It comes from a place of hate and discrimination, and that is the root of everything surrounding this. So I think people need to check themselves, and check their hearts, and have honest conversations with themselves. Because I'm like, I can't help you with that. Immigrants can't help you with that. Only people who have those, have those beliefs and that ideology and that hatred can, need to help themselves. And that's all I have to say about that.
I wonder what your thoughts are about the tone of the tone, not the words, not the actual actions, the tone of the administration, and whether you think that tone is enabling people to openly express their racial hatred for others. And I know that's a bit of a leading question, but it's something that's been on my mind.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, literally, when you have, a president that came in here, I mean, literally, like President Trump. I mean, his first one of his, I think, first big controversial things was, the whole, birther situation with Obama, because the whole point was that he was trying to undermine our president simply because he was black. Like, let's just call a spade, because Obama did nothing to him other than, roast him like several other people have, because he's a freaking living caricature. So obviously you're going to, get people to come at you. But he couldn't stand Obama because how dare a black man say this? How dare he make fun of me? I deserve to be respected and worshipped and all these things. And that was the inception of it.
Especially not from a black man, is what you're saying. That's a very interesting point. So you're suggesting that the genesis for hating Obamacare, the genesis, I'm putting words in your mouth, but this is my interpretation. The genesis for tearing up the JCPOA had to do more with the fact that it was a black president, and how dare this country elect one? I don't know, maybe I'm putting words in your mouth. Slap me if I am.
No, absolutely. You're just, interpreting my thoughts and relaying my sentiments, and that is absolutely the case. It's the nerve, it's the audacity. That's why whenever, there's a sort of pecking order when it comes to Trump, and that's why black women are at the bottom of it, because Trump doesn't have any respect for women. He doesn't have any respect for black people, and so you're putting those two together, and it's just like, how dare you? But Obama being a black man, just a black person and not just a black man who is far more attractive than him, who's far more accomplished than him, who's more intelligent, not even more intelligent, whose intelligence, is so intimidating to Trump, because it's like, apples and spaceships. There's just no comparison. He knows that he doesn't measure up. He knows that he is pretty much inferior in every way, and it eats at him, because this person is the embodiment of everything that he will never be, and he's black. How dare he? And that's really what it is. That's why, like you said, JCPOA, Obamacare, his whole legacy, he wants to completely eradicate simply because he can't stand that we actually elected and celebrate and still do. Even just recent polling, everything, because Obama just had his whole thing the other day, you know what I'm talking about, you know, and people still love the Obamas, and it just eats at somebody like Trump because it goes against everything, you know, that all of his, it feeds all his insecurities and everything, because you know Trump loves to be celebrated. But beyond just Trump and everything, we have a major, because Trump is the face of it, but his electorate, the people who voted for him, I blame them. You know what I mean? There's always been racists, there's always been people, but the fact that people actually got out and went to go vote for this disgusting person who represents all of these disgusting things and is pushing this racist, xenophobic, you know, just bigoted agenda across the board that is crushing not even just all of them, but it's crushing you. People are willing to spite themselves just to hold on to this idea of, you know, what they feel like, this romanticized idea of, you know, the good old days, you know, when white people were here and we were celebrated just for being white. I could be average and mediocre and not have anything to offer, but I'm better than you because I'm white. That's really the sentiment that a lot of those people have. And it's unfortunate because it's not every white person, of course. I just have to say that. I'm like, listen, I love everybody. I love white people. I love everybody. But for those white supremacist type of people, who I think represents a large part of Trump supporters, that is what they believe. That's why, and to what you said about the rhetoric, yeah, that's why, you know, when he says stuff like, you know, Mexicans are racist or criminals, you know, they're poisoning the blood of the nation. They're what do you call it? Haitians are shit from shithole countries. Somalians are, you know, eating cats and dogs. Where all the shit that he says, it is. They love that. He says that because he knows his base loves it, and he's speaking to them. He wants them to know, I got you, and I'm going to continue this. Why do you think all of these the ICE raids and stuff were filmed? Like, that was not a coincidence. It was filmed from the beginning because he wanted to display, you know, these white, rage-filled men, going and, you know, grabbing people of color and completely mistreating them, and to the point of, and you know what the icing on the cake was for me, just to let you know how deeply mental and disturbing this is, was the killing of Alex Freddie. Like, you're willing to literally kill and Renee Good. It's like you're willing to shoot and kill white people just to preserve this hatred for everybody else.
Well, it's not as if he's ordered the museums and the national monuments and the parks and all of that to remove any references to slavery. So,
yeah.
You know, I have no idea what you're talking. Wait. What?
And
what?
Are you kidding me? Yes, and then he wants to, you know, like, completely, we already decimated the Department of Education. You want to change, like, this revisionist history thing that he wants to, like, completely eradicate any, you know, mention of what actually occurred when it comes to slavery and the ills of this country. And it's really, honestly, it's actually kind of just pathetic, and it would actually be just funny if it wasn't so impactful. Like, we actually need to preserve, you know, reality, you know, especially now with everything that's going on with social media and news, these news echo chambers and things like that. You have so many people who are just living in a completely gaslit, you know, fictitious world. And ironic, and at the same time, the insidious part is they're the ones screaming fake news. and that's all that they know. It is, fake news. So there's a lot of things that need to be, addressed, and especially now with what's going on in the Constitution, we're seeing the weaknesses of the Constitution that Trump and this administration in this 2.0 term has exploited ad nauseum. These things need to be patched up. Once the Democrats come back in power, there needs to, because it really isn't a Democratic or Republican thing. I don't care if Trump was a Democrat, which he obviously would never be, but let's just say, for...
I think he was a Democrat at one time.
He was a New York corporate Democrat in the mid-'80s who loved protectionism. I would argue he still today is a New York corporate Democrat who loves protectionism. He simply has changed his stripes to be a Republican.
Right.
He's not ideologically Republican in the way a Jeb Bush or a Mitt Romney or a Mike Huckabee would be, or Sarah Huckabee Sanders would be. He doesn't have an ideology. At least I don't think he does anyway.
Exactly. And so what my point is just because sometimes people think, oh, you just want no. I want sanity back in the White House and in our government. And it really doesn't matter to me whether you're a Democrat or a Republican in the general sense, but in the...
I'm with you, Jay. Make government boring again. Bring competence back.
Yes. Because there should never be any one person that is able to concentrate and extrapolate this much power from the government and then hold that to dictate policy. It's just insanity. So once the Democrats come back in office, they need to make some changes and start to restructure some things so that no one person, anybody, no matter what party, can ever do this kind of chaos and mayhem.
Thank you for that, Jay. We'll go to Big M, followed by David.
That's hard to follow, man. I'm gonna try not to take up as much time. I'm glad that we get to keep birthright citizenship. I am still grieving the Haitians because I work at a public institution in Massachusetts, and it's one of the most diverse campuses in the entire country, to be honest. And Haitians make up a large segment of our population, and many of them on TPS. So this ruling definitely will impact, not just the Haitian people I know personally, but my work. And that's bothering me quite a bit. I echo a lot of what Jay said. I think that all of this is really not hard to understand. President Obama and his minions, President Trump and all the people that he's surrounding himself with and all the policies he's trying to build is to destroy America in such a way that no Obama can ever emerge. No, highly educated, successful, wealthy, well-spoken, handsome, tall individual who ascends to the presidency can ever happen. Obviously, that's never gonna come to fruition. I think America is at a place where there's enough of an educated and empathetic populace that they're not gonna align with that level of idiocy. I also want to talk a little bit about myself. As you guys know, I'm an immigrant. I came to the U.S. when I was 12 with my family. I have 3 siblings. All 4 of us graduated from the Ivy League. All 4 of us, 2 of us have families. All 4 of us are in good jobs, earning high salaries. Some of us have also started businesses. And so by every metric of success, we've hit that, right? And it is sickening that the president of this country that has created opportunities for me and my family to build what we've built wants to take that all away, even though people like me make this country better objectively, is not just evil, not just pathetic like they said, it's also impractical and counterintuitive. You want talented people to work for the betterment of this country, no matter where they come from, right? Because the more excellence you bring, the more it elevates everybody else, right? You would think that that would be what every politician should try to create, but it's not. And it's disgusting. So the story that we opened this room about, to me, is emblematic of that. Somebody doing the right thing, just existing, being made to feel less than human because of who they are, despite what they do. That's inhumane, and it's destructive. And we, as people of conscience, need to not let that happen. That doesn't mean we have to all run for office, but we do have to, in our own lived experiences and wherever we sit, do something and say something so that we can build for the betterment of this country. I'll end.
Thank you for that, Dick. M. David, followed by Just.
Good afternoon, Gary.
Hey, but
Glad to see you got her today.
I'm awake.
Well, glad we
I
could,
need to get sleep. What can I tell you? You know, I work midnights, and on Sunday, my son picked me up in the morning about 11 o'clock to take me to a wonderful jazz fest in Asbury Park, New Jersey. And then, of course, that meant I was awake during my nighttime, and that screwed everything up. But thank goodness for Scott and Marshall for saving the day for us all yesterday.
Great. No, absolutely. It was a great room yesterday as well. Yeah, Gary, I'm a product of an immigrant father. I immigrated here from Cuba, as you know, and I appreciate Barbie's comments about what's happening in Venezuela, and irrespective of the politics of the island of Cuba, that was a nation that who dispatched its best and brightest in the form of doctors to places like Venezuela, who desperately probably need those doctors. But because the island's been under siege economically by the oil embargo, that country has been reduced to just trying to keep the lights on and the like. But not only my father, Gary, but some of my father's relatives came to this country as immigrants and used their minds and their professional aptitudes to fight on behalf of the little guy. Scott brought up my father's first cousin, who's still alive today, Dr. Justo Gonzalez Garcia. He was the youngest recipient of a doctorate of theology, historical theology out of Yale, and Scott studied his textbooks at Princeton. But this gentleman went forward with his education to fight on behalf of the little guy in the form of liberation theology, calling forth the nation to not only provide the platitudes of Christianity, but also the social network and structure to help elevate people economically and materially as well. And we can't just pay lip service to the good book without putting policies and actions behind it. These immigration policies are anything but Christian. This poor sister, she's of Nigerian descent.
Mr. Letty, she was picked up as she was walking to church, Our Lady of Sorrows, which is about 10 minutes from my house.
Yeah, I mean, this is just egregious. A person of the cloth, being marked as such, not, of the tradition of Mother Teresa, who took her theology to India, and of course, won a Nobel Prize because of that effort. So, we've really backslid as a nation, Gary, with regard to the most religious of our society. And I appreciate the fact that because she was a nun, she was able to bring a lot of heat and light onto these destructive policies. But there are thousands that are sitting, just separated from their families for nothing more than the fact that they were trying to earn a living, that they were trying to take their kids to school, that they were going to a graduation, that they were trying to care for the elderly, or whatever the case may be. And instead of remedying our horrible immigration policies and finding a way to keep these people, the least of these that the good book talks about, we've instead erected a Gestapo-like organization to rain down on these people. And Gary, I hope to God that there's not a rabbi, a black or brown rabbi, that's wrapped up in this at some point. But I hope that the Jewish lobby would vociferously come out and defend those folks as well. But I mean, there's nobody safe, really, Gary. To be honest, I think we're all worried. You know, I have a Spanish surname. What happens if they want to hold me and say, hey, you know, you speak the Queen's English almost perfectly, but you know, where's your paperwork at? So, you know, these are not positive times to you know, be a minority in this country. And pretty soon, Gary, I think what they're not facing is the reality that it will soon be a majority country in short order. Whether we like it or not, that is how we're trending. And the America has got to wake up to this reality. And to be honest, Gary, I think it's just fear. It's xenophobia. This nation has never had the ability to share in its spoils. You know, you got class collaboration with regard to the 1% that first got here, founded this country, wrote the documents. Then you have the 99% of those white folks that were brought over to help settle the land and challenge the Native Americans that were here and say, hey, if you can go out there and not get shot by an arrow, you can have some land for yourself and try to forge a better life. And that's been the legacy of this country, whereas there's been others who've had to fight for their piece of that action or that pie. And in many cases, Gary, getting in the back of the line because the language barrier was such that you couldn't get certain jobs until you got educated. And then there's those that fought hard in those horrible jobs to educate their children, like what I'm a product of. And those children then go on to succeed. But there's that trend, that process by which people level up in this country is being decimated and creating a sowing fear across the board. And I like the fact that you brought up the fact that now we're also hurting ourselves in spite of these policies by keeping very well educated foreigners that want to come here to study, to learn, to work. And we need those skilled workers. And our university is one of the reasons we have the best system of higher education is because of our progress that we've made as a society and as a nation, and with the way we grew our university system backed by industry and progress in science and government. And now those folks are going to go to our competitors. They're going to go to countries that provide a very similar lifestyle to America in terms of their freedoms, in terms of their support. And these are bad consequences for us going forward. So while we're kicking out the hardest of the working, we're also keeping out some of the smartest in the world with regard to their professional credentials. And it's just ass backward. And I don't know what kind of nation we think we're producing. And you know, I shudder, Gary, to think that where are they going to get the workers? As America, you brought up the fact is America is aging, and you got the red state of Florida, where a lot of seniors like to go to retire. What kind of retirement are you going to have if your kids don't want you around the house, and now they're going to put you in a home, and the home doesn't have any skilled workers to take care of you, and that skilled labor that is around is being watered down by too many people to take care of. I've seen it firsthand here. I saw my father who was in hospice, and luckily he had the funds and the means to be in a nice assisted facility. But I shudder, Gary, to think that there are swaths of old people like my father who are facing their last years, and there's not quality of life help to help them wind down their final moments in life, which is a sad thing. So I'll land there, Gary. I probably got off the subject a little bit, but yeah, I think the ICE thing has been off the front pages lately. I'm glad this nun was able to bring the conversation back to what's really going on. I think that the press was so bad that Stephen Miller and the White House got together and said, "Hey, you know, we got to keep want to keep our foot on the gas, but we want to stay off of the front pages of the news and the news channels. So I think that's ultimately what's going on.
Could we put a shorthand for him? Can we just like call him Voldemort?
Oh, who Voldemort?
That probably doesn't work for anybody who's not my generation, but I prefer to call him Voldemort.
You can call him whatever you want, Marshall. He's from my state here. He's from Santa Monica, California, where it's an immigrant population here that a lot of it he went to school with. A lot of self-hate with regard to that background that he came from. The fact that where I live produced this guy, it's just mind-boggling that he came out of this ecosystem. It's a lot of times Santa Monica is referred to as the People's Republic of Santa Monica. So I'll just leave it at that. All right, thanks.
Thank you, David. Just followed by Paul.
Thank you, and really appreciate your thoughts, David. I think we are definitely living in a moment where there are questions about law, humanity, and national identity that are colliding in very visible manners. And I think at its core, the issue is not only about enforcement, it's about how enforcement is carried out. For example, Nicolas Maduro, who was detained by the US government, actually negotiated the release of 252 Venezuelans that were being illicitly held in the El Salvadorian government facility. I think that is something that we shouldn't lose track of. How many people have been irresponsibly held up? We've seen gals from Canada who had like legitimate visas that were imprisoned in Texas. So I think our ICE officers have definitely done an injustice. They've created a state of confusion and potentially a state of like harm for the US brand. A lot of what I have seen in terms of airline traffic tickets, for example, a lot of people don't want to come here anymore. We are not making America great again. We're making America a scary state of isolation almost. And I don't want that to happen, but that's what I am viewing in real time. Thank you.
Thank you, Victoria. We'll go to Paul, followed by Odie and Ware. Paul. Odie and Ware, followed by Ben. Odin. Ben.
Gary, you sometimes will not actually respond to what I say, and I'm wondering about that a little bit, but it would be nice if you would actually just give me a response.
Hey Ben, you there?
I guess that's it for the day.
Ben, I guess we're going to Paul next.
No, Paul didn't answer and Odin didn't answer, so I guess we're done, guys. Folks, we're here Monday through Friday from 5 p.m. New York time, so until 5 p.m. New York time tomorrow. For the next edition of the Critical Thinking Forum, everybody be safe, be well, and peace out.
Give an example.
Grilled chicken on a salad?
Like you've never had a grilled Caesar salad?
A grilled salad works both for lunch and dinner. That does work for both.
So Liberty, you're talking about
they actually grill the pieces of romaine.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I would exclude
a salad
that's
specifically
has
that
that
as an element.
in this bread.
Actually, that sounds pretty good, actually.
It is good. Yeah, it is good.
That's healthy eating. Sounds good.
I sort of like it when the salad is not chilled, but the bowl or plate that they put it on has been chilled. So it's sort of like lightly flash chilled as on its way out from the kitchen to be placed in front of you.
Yeah, they do that, yeah.
In my mind, I don't know if this is actually the case, but in my mind, it's sort of similar to. I'm thinking about the production of iced coffee. There are many different ways to make iced coffee. I think almost all of them should be a cold brew process, with the exception that you can do a really good hot brew concentrate that is flash chilled. And that's an arduous process because you need to have like ice elements that are significantly below freezing. Like, freezing is 32 degrees Fahrenheit, whatever. Like it's like, triple digit points.
Or it's like dry
below
ice.
that.
Yeah, you're
not quite dry ice, but like the coldest ice you can get that's not dry ice. And you sort of like flash chill it so it's like instantly super frozen and like dilutes the ice and the concentrate, and it creates like a really amazing
You're getting into
texture.
autism. That's autism level stuff.
Well, that's how I feel about my coffee. People who come to this room know.
Only very few people know about that. The very, very few people know about that.
Oh, you guys are lucky and privileged because now you do, because of my esoteric knowledge of coffee.
Yeah, no, I knew about it.
Okay, and you decided that.
I think because I lived in Colombia.
Cold brew is cold brew is great and easy, and anyone who has the tiniest inclination to make iced coffee at home could learn how to make a great batch of cold brew that's pretty foolproof.
I will tell you, the best coffee is really the Colombian coffee.
Yeah.
I kind of agree with that. I know it's very famous, but yeah, I agree with it.
Is it cold brew I have to clarify. The Colombian coffee, you need to drink it in Colombia, because the stuff they send out, it just doesn't taste like the stuff back in Colombia when you have it.
I mean, Colombia is one of the largest producers of coffee in the world. So most of it is commodity grade coffee. That's absolute garbage.
I think Vietnam actually produces more coffee than
there definitely are some like cherished micro lots of coffee that come out of Colombia. Most of that does not say in Colombia, although more of it will.
I will give Vietnam something. Iced coffee. Their iced coffee is fantastic.
Yeah, it's pretty good, but all of their coffee is Robusta bean coffee. They don't do any Arabica there.
Yeah, Robusta beans are much more forgiving as far as their growing environment. Arabica beans need a much more particular and precise growing environment to yield any crop at all. My favorite growing regions, and I like all the growing regions, but would be like the absolute top tier microlot Ethiopia's, other East African coffees.
Ethiopia, your good chef is really good.
Yes.
Ethiopia is what's it called? Simba. It's SIM something.
Yes.
But that's very good.
Yeah, my taste buds are coming back, so I like the discussion.
Yeah, Ethiopian coffee, it's just a different flavor to it.
Well, it's extremely complex, isn't it?
Well,
yeah, it is sophisticated. It is. It's not mainstream American type of coffee. I just can never see it getting to that level.
Can I litmus test your general coffee knowledge since you immediately qualified yourself as being an expert?
No, not an expert, but I traveled different countries, tasted different coffees. I do
Well,
have
you told me I was autistic about coffee, and I said, and then you said, well, so am I. So I thought you were...
When you get to the different brewing techniques and levels, and they do these distillation.
That's pretty rudimentary, brewing techniques.
It's not just brewing techniques, it's roasting techniques.
Oh, and the roasting. Right.
But, so, can I still litmus test you, or no?
No, that's all I know.
Oh, okay. Oh. Never mind then.
You could litmus test me since I used to be vice president of a coffee company.
Okay, what is the probably single most pertinent, unique fact about Ethiopia as a coffee growing region?
I failed that test. I don't know.
Ethiopia is the mother place of coffee. It's the only place in the world where coffee grows wild and indigenous. Everywhere else that grows coffee, it was to trace the coffee beans lineage, the coffee plant's lineage back to Ethiopia.
Good to know. I did not know that.
Okay, Joe, do you prefer the Colombian coffee or the Ethiopian coffee?
I like them both. I think they're really different. Again, it comes down to the roasting of it. If you do a nice medium roast of both of them, and I drink my coffee neat. I don't drink milk or sugar or anything.
How are you gonna beat Darren? He's millions, 40% more votes than Bremer.
Better for the Ethiopian only because the Ethiopian is more consistent. There's a lot more variety coming out of Colombia.
Shoot. Wow. You edged it out to the Ethiopian coffee over the Colombian.
I did.
But just comparing a broad growing region like that, 1 to 1 is not it's definitely an apples to oranges thing. Because when you talk about getting anywhere near to the best levels of coffee production, you're talking about extreme artisanal micro lot, specialized farmers that have operations where there's a singular obsession with quality and the exact perfect microclimate with the exact perfect varietal of bean and a little bit of luck in the harvest. So it's by far most coffee is just grown to commodity grade, which is not even part of this discussion at all. So it's are the best coffees better than most coffees in Ethiopia? Of course. Are the best coffees in Ethiopia? So if you're talking about only the absolute best of the best micro lots that come out of each growing region, then maybe you could have a discussion. But I don't think that's what we're doing.
Well, okay, one side question, Joe. I was going to buy a few coffee farms in Colombia just because I like the country and I like coffee. And my family's been in the farming business. Darn, you're saying that the Ethiopian bean is better, slightly better.
It depends on what farm it's coming from, too, and where it's grown. There's a lot of factors to it. My favorite coffee is La Lucia Estate Coffee. My friend Michel Hebert has a plantation in, of all places, Zimbabwe, and he's fighting the Zimbabwe government to keep stealing his land. But his coffee is phenomenal. And Zimbabwe is not known as a coffee-producing country.
Oh, I've never had Zimbabwean coffee.
See if you can find La Lucia Estate. Michel Hebert, he's a Lebanese Frenchman, and his coffee is phenomenal.
La Lucia. Oh, okay, thank you.
And he came over, he used to come over, we used to buy green coffee from him. And he came over and told us about his estate and everything he was doing. And it was fascinating. And also the politics of it were crazy.
It's on my list, thank you.
I mean, I put it right up there with Jamaican Blue Mountain and Kona. And I think both of them are overrated. I think they're overrated.
Yes.
I think Kona is expensive because you got to pay farmer, you got to pay the bigger more money because it's a U.S. country. And Jamaica Blue Mountain, they just restrict where it's grown, so it's a supply and demand thing. Although they're very good coffee.
Yes, yeah, the Jamaican one was rather nice. Especially after they have a fantastic seafood dish with their beer. That coffee afterwards is a nice finish.
What part of the country do you live in?
Me? Yeah. Oh, I'm a Jersey boy, but I'm going back to Colombia. I'm moving to Emerson.
I was going to say, the founder of the coffee company I used to work for, who got kicked out, Martin Dietrich, his family is famous for creating the Dietrich Roaster, which is one of the roasters you see in coffee houses where they're roasting at the premises. He has a couple of locations called Keene Coffee, and I think it's spelled Kean in Orange County. What Martin does is just crazy good in the way he produces his espresso drinks.
Oh, thank you. I think, you know what? I'm still gonna keep it on the table and buy the coffee farm in Colombia. So, you guys want to come down? Come down.
Do you know, like, how they grow the coffee, what their washing method is, what varietal they grow?
You know, I kind of skimmed through it in a YouTube video. I was supposed to go on tour to watch the whole process, but I got busy with my sister wanted to do other things. But when I go back, I'm definitely gonna go and watch how they do it.
You know, you could actually call Martin up on the phone. He's in his coffee houses, and his family, both sides of his family, owned coffee plantation, which are farms in Guatemala, and so he grew up there, and so he knows about the actual growing part too. He'll pick up the phone and he'll talk to you. He would just love it.
When I was at one of the coffee shops, the owner of the coffee shop was also the owner of the coffee farm. So he would bring out all the different types of beans he had, and we would smell the beans, and it was incredible to meet the farmer himself. And he was just telling me about the business, what it's like. Oh, I cleared out the room.
Well, you know what? The three of us are interested in coffee, so I don't.
I know. I just love coffee. I love it. It ended up us three because we're a little bit on the spectrum for coffee.
Oops. It's okay. People spend a lot of time in here talking about stuff that they like.
If they could only really taste the differences of the coffees, if they could only just know, like.
If you're interested, actually, since you're thinking about buying a farm, there's this book from the early 2000s. It's titled God in a Cup, and it tracks the lives of 3 of the top coffee buyers in the world that are sent by some of the most obsessive coffee companies to go all around the world, all the growing regions, make direct relationships with the farmers to procure the best possible crop. And it, tracks their adventures and meeting people in tiny rural villages who, where there's no language barrier, and how they have this singular focus on quality crop. And then it also specifically goes into the history of this one bean where it's actually a coffee farm in Boquete, Panama. It's a tiny little micro region high in the mountains in Panama. And it was this hobby project farm that was purchased by a former Bank of America CEO. He wanted to retire to be a coffee farmer and, singularly obsess with producing the best coffee in the world. So it's this cherished varietal grown in the storied microclimate, and it produces this coffee that is only sold at auction once a year, and it's sold to all of these coffee roasters around, mostly, it used to be all like North America and Japan. Now it's expanded a little bit.
where they just bid on the different lots, and because there's only so much, and it's among the best coffee in the world. And I worked when I was in my early 20s. I worked at this super high-end coffee shop with a singular obsession for quality in this regard, and we used to sell that for $20 a cup back then. And it's in the early 2000s, so that's
You were in the Matrix. We didn't hear when you set up the coffee. We heard $20 a cup. We didn't hear anything before that.
Oh, so this coffee that sold at auction by this man who's the former Bank of America CEO, who has like the perfect coffee microclimate and the perfect varietal. It's sold at auction to all these different roasters around the world. The company I worked for at the time, we sold it in a cafe for $20 a cup, and this was in the early 2000s.
Oh my gosh!
And it's incredible. So anyway, the title of this book that I was talking about earlier comes from this coffee in particular. One of these people who's among the best coffee buyers in the world.
What's the name of the book again?
God in a Cup.
God in a Cup.
And he describes first tasting this coffee in particular as like seeing the face of God in the cup.
Oh my gosh!
And
Wow.
I'll never forget the first time I tried it. It was like tasting it. It was like everything all at once. It was like every possible like good complex coffee note flavor all at once. It was like chocolate and berry and
it was in Panama. Panama.
It comes out of Panama. Yeah, it comes out of the mountains.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, and it was just like I had to like force my body to not go with my instinct, which was to like gulp down this coffee. It was just absolutely incredible.
Wow.
If you this coffee is called La Esmeralda. If you do a search for La Esmeralda coffee, I haven't looked at what it goes for lately, but it used to be sold at retail, and this is in the early 2000s, at $200 a pound. So imagine that in today's money. Yeah.
That's what I wanted to ask you. I want to ask you that time frame. You said it was early 2000s. Have the following generations had a similar zest for coffee? Because in my generation, we were crazy coffee.
Yeah. There's a lot of young people who they enjoy wine, but they enjoy coffee like people enjoy wine.
Oh, they enjoy wine also?
Well, I just mean in the sense that they're very into the origin of wine.
They enjoy wine also? Oh, really? Oh my goodness.
Are you a millennial or what are you?
Sort of. I'm like maybe like the oldest.
How much is La Lucia a pound?
Sorry. Wait, is he in the supermarket? Joe, are you in the supermarket? Man, that's a good story. Appreciate derisive.
Mm-hmm. Are you near a computer?
No, I'm on. It's just my phone.
Well, I'm in the car. Can you look up how much La Esmeralda coffee is going for now?
Oh, La Esmeralda? Oh, let me look it up.
This is this coffee I was referring to.
La Esmeralda coffee. Is that? Yeah. La Esmeralda. 1 pound is $87 on eBay. Is that about right?
Okay. When is that from?
Well, here, let me see.
Does it say roasted?
No, I'm getting it from. Oh, here we go. Let me see. Oh, La Esmeralda. Here we go. 8 ounces, $60. Coffee beans.
Okay. Honestly, I would do it. if you have some disposable income, which it sounds like you do, I would buy some to try. as long as it's like a recent roast date.
Holding this question for a while. It's really quick because he keeps on bringing up the Shabbat. I just want to bring up the principle of it. In the Torah, you cannot find where it says you cannot buy and sell on the Shabbat. But yeah, I mean, I'll go ask you this. Do you think that?
Listen, if you're doing Xanax and alcohol, I don't fuck with that. I don't fuck with anybody.
But why Blue Moon specifically? I don't understand.
I don't know. You said she said Blue Moon.
Maybe she thought you were an American. That's all you liked.
Like, of course she knew I was American. It was from Connecticut to D.C.
What was she?
She was white. American.
It's pretty standard.
She was trying to consensually drug you.
She was trying to figure out.
Unbelievable.
Sloppy copy before the plane landed.
Impregnate myself and then claim child.
It was the weirdest experience.
I'm trying to give you a sloppy toppy before the plane landed, and you totally misread the flag.
I didn't do it. I didn't misread the flag. I knew what she wanted. But you don't need to give me a fucking Xanax and a Blue Moon.
Bro, but all you have to say is no thank you. That's all you have to say.
Just grab it and roll over, like that.
Pretend you did it.
I mean, and that shit is dangerous too. I don't know why people do that. So I haven't had Blue Moon before that day. I didn't have it with her, but I tried it. Like when I was down there, I was like, let me try this Blue Moon. I was like, it's okay. It's like a thicker, it's like a thicker Budweiser. It was like, I don't know.
Dude, it's fucking weak. Budweiser sucks too. I love Heineken.
Everybody loves Heineken. Yeah.
If you're gonna drink beer, it's like, drink real beer, bro.
What do you mean, bro? As an American, you can't even talk about beer.
Blue Moon is white ale, whatever the fuck it is.
Next thing you can say is like, I like Coors Light.
Come to Europe and then you'll feel real beers.
Yeah, I know. I know the Germans laugh at American beer.
Even the English too, seriously.
What's your beer like?
Budweiser is good.
Is it thick or is it skunky? Is it what's the difference?
You got like IPAs.
Yeah, we have IPAs here. Like we have Sam Adams, this IPA.
805 is good.
Have you tried Arrogant Bastard?
No.
A good time. If you like Heineken, like people like Heineken, I have like Amstel. That's good.
We have that here.
Yeah.
It's probably watered down though.
Dude, have you tried the 0% Heineken?
I don't
know.
0% beers, right?
It's probably an empty bottle.
Have you had Lebanese beer?
Almaza. No.
There comes the plug, Doug.
Is it good?
Almaza.
When I used to drink, Almaza.
What's it like?
It's a Pilsner. That's good.
Yeah.
Oh.
Very good.
There's two things that I think of when I see Faroes. Lebanon and Kanafe.
Kanafe?
Yeah.
What do you mean? That's that. Listen, once the Lebanese start claiming Kanafe as theirs, it's all over.
Well, whose is it, brother?
Palestinian.
It is. It's Palestinian.
I thought it was
As
Turkish.
a Lebanese.
No.
There is Turkish too, but there are different types of. There's
the famous one is the Palestinian.
Yeah, the Kanafe is the
Napolusan.
Yeah, it's the original.
Yeah. That's what we're famous for, is the Kanafe.
And it's good. I like Palestinian Kanafe.
Yeah, but you have to get it when it's made on with what I don't know what you call them in Arabic, a board, the open flame.
Oh yes. I like mine in shots. You know the kake, the sesame bread?
Oh, kayak, yeah.
Yeah, and they put it inside of a small one. Oh, that's so good. That's like the best breakfast.
The kanafa, though, when they make it, like, they grill it? I guess it'll be grilling, right? It's grilled?
It's on a flame and you put it up.
Just read that book. It's a great fucking read. It will open your eyes, man, and put all the pieces of the puzzle together. And it explains why women are the way that they are, why men are the way that they are. It explains the behaviors and environmental challenges they were faced with that caused them to develop these traits, and how we see these traits today, even though a lot of those external environmental influences don't exist anymore. But because we've been so ingrained, because we spent more of our development in the raw wild versus in this, civilized society that we currently live in, while we still continue to see these types of traits exist today. But it's a great fucking book, man.
Right.
What's going on, Dylan? Welcome, bro. What's going on, Alan?
Hello.
Greetings.
So we don't have like an angry woman who's like just like disagreeing and arguing on stage. I'm surprised.
Yeah, not today. It's rare, man. They know better now. They know better. They know they can't run game on the men in this club, bro. So they rarely come in. The ones that typically do come in, they either come in just a straight up troll, or they just haven't been in here yet, and then they get the business, and then they don't come back.
Describe to me what it is when a woman is running game on him. Is it like shaming tactics, or like she's trying to like gaslight you into like describe that to me.
Yeah, it's the shaming. It's the sign language. It's the shaming, insults, guilt, and need to be right. And then on the flip side, it's the victim playing the victim.
I don't necessarily agree with that because the game aspect of it. I feel like the game aspect is hurt. I feel like she really in love with your ass, money your ass.
I so badly want to like make out what you're saying. It's just the quality of the audio is terrible. Is there anything you can do to improve that? And also, say.
Yeah, I couldn't even understand you, nigga. You gotta go back to your big mic, bro.
So wait, I don't necessarily agree with Sig as far as that game aspect though. I feel like they use a game, it's still making you feel like they really fuck with you and they love you or like you, and they're running your ass through the ringer. That's how I feel like.
So like that's when like a woman's like running game on you in a manipulative way, like in dating, right? But I simply just meant like when they come in here and they try to tell you that you don't know what the fuck you're talking about or something like that. That's what I was talking about. But Sig, that was the first time I ever heard like sign language. So he said, what'd you say?
Shame, insult, guilt, and need to be right.
Yeah, Kevin Samuels coined that. Yep, that's from KS, man. But yeah, he calls it sign language. Shame, insults, guilt, and the need to be. That's the aggressive part. So women have two factors. They've got the passive and the aggressive. The aggressive is the sign language. The passive is playing the victim card to get sympathy and get out of the accountability and get out of discussing.
Yeah, it's a tactic. It's called Darvo.
Yeah, hit that Darvo up, Adrian. Yeah, you ever heard of Darvo, Dylan?
No, what's that?
Yeah, Adrian's got it, man. Yeah, Adrian.
It stands for deflect, attack, reverse, victim, offender. Meaning that when you are having a debate with a motherfucker, they will come with these strong opinions, and then when you challenge their opinions, they will deflect, then they will go into attack, and then they will reverse the roles and make it seem like they are being victimized, and you are the offender. It's a gaslighting technique.
Yeah, if you want a really good explanation, watch the clips of Bill Burr, How Women Argue. He's dead on.
Yeah.
If they're right, they know they're right, they'll stay on point, and they make sure you stay on point too. If they're wrong, they go rogue, and they'll bring up anything at all you know, to piss you off to the point where you get mad that you call him a cunt, and then the argument is over.
That's cool, but you know, I don't argue with women at all. Matter of fact, I think you should never argue with a woman, because I think if you argue with a woman, what you are effectively doing is you're showing her that you see her as equal. Because why would you argue? Okay, if you argue with a woman, you're subconsciously teaching her that you view her as equal to you, and then why? You got to think about this. Why would she respect a man who is looking at her like that?
That's kind of genius, but it's also kind of scary. But okay.
What do you think?
I see what you're saying. I totally see what you're saying. I mean, so you basically don't argue with any woman who has a dispute.
Well, you got to look at it like this.
You don't even believe that they're capable of having a conversation.
Look, there's a difference between a conversation and an argument. But let me put it like this. It's like this, look. It's like, you can ask me questions, but don't question me. So what's the difference? Right? It's like, if you ask me a question, that's because you're inquiring to find out information. But what's the difference between that and questioning? Questioning is like, you're trying to poke at my authority, you're trying to provoke me, you're trying to elicit an emotional reaction and response out of me. And we have to have discernibility, because it's when you're being questioned that's when arguments happen. And when you argue, you're coming to that person's level and meeting them at eye level. And you got to look at it like this. It's like, if you're an employee and you have an employer, or imagine that you have a bunch of coworkers, and imagine that your coworkers start to get into arguments with your boss, and your boss starts to argue and bicker back with all the employees. What's that going to do to the team? That's going to show everybody that you're all the same. They don't have authority over you. And then if you stick around, imagine if you don't get fired after that. Now it's like, all right, I guess we can get away with it. I guess we can get away with arguing with boss. And people don't like when I make analogies of employer-employee when it comes to talking about intersexual dynamics between men and women. But that's how it is.
Well, let me put it, I agree with you, Dylan. Let me put it another way. When a woman is in a relationship, women are concerned about safety and protection. If she can, and she wants to know that you can protect her. If she can break you down and trip you up, how can she trust you to know that you're going to go out into the world and be able to protect her? So it's instead of using employer-employee, it's a matter of protector and protected. So if she gets to you emotionally, if she gets to you intellectually, if she's able to question a decision, then she assumes, well, this guy's going to go out and he's going to face not another woman, but another man. And this other man is going to screw her up, so I can't trust him. So it's a little bit of a neurotic kind of dynamic that goes on in their mind. But they are constantly, women in a relationship will constantly test their man to make sure they are safe. So if you do what you're saying, Dylan, and you say, yeah, you can ask me questions, but you can't question me. That ties into something else. women want to be heard, and you got to make them feel that you've heard their concerns. But then at the end of all of that, it's I've heard what you said, I've considered what you said. This is my decision, and they can respect that, and they might piss and moan about it, but they will respect it because they won't feel like, well, he's just doing what he wants and he thinks he's the boss of me and blah blah blah, all of those other arguments, and that's a big deal. Let them be heard. I know it's torture. You're getting waterboarded because what should take them 2 minutes takes an hour and a half. But at the end of it, you get a blowjob, so it's worth it.
Waterboarded, that's hysterical. Alan, you might know a thing or two. I'm sorry.
That waterboarding term is Bill Burr uses that. But the other part of it comes from, I'll bring it up, The Way of the Superior Man by David Data. It's really a good book, and he talks about all of this stuff. I can't take credit for all of it.
I think the biggest thing is, and I hear what old boy is saying, man, is that, when you stoop down to their level and you go on that petty back and forth shit, you're sending a clear signal that you're on the same level as them, and that's where you're gonna lose respect for them. And I'm guilty of that shit too. Like I said, I gotta wake up, slap the bitch out of me every day because I was raised by a bunch of overly emotional, single, fucking retard women. So I had a lot of bitch in me. I still got some bitch in me, and I got smacked that shit out of me sometimes. I'd be going back and forth with these bitches, acting like a fucking bitch too. So, but I'm learning to and realizing my man is 100% correct. When you go back and forth on that petty bullshit, bro, you're just sending a clear signal. I'm on the same level as you, and you're never gonna get that respect back.
Sig, why do you think they say I hate black women? Because I dismiss their ass. They're like,
tell the truth.
They're like, keep going. You a bitch. You nigga incel. Your balls small. That's incorrect. Your dick small. That's also incorrect. You ain't got no bitches. That is one thing that is correct. I don't care. And the more you just basically speak to them like they don't mean anything, guess what happens? They fuck off eventually. It's just how it goes.
Well, Isaac, they don't like you because you're not white. Come on.
You're right. If I was a white man, I mean, they would still say all that stuff, but they wouldn't say that I hate black people.
No. They're look. In my experience, they are all of the blame and anger that they project onto black men, because you remember, you were supposed to save them from all of this systematic and historic slavery.
Nigga, what?
Okay? What? And I'm not saying all black men, I'm just saying you, Isaac. They hold you personally responsible. Anyway, but all of that...
I wasn't getting paid. The government gave me...
It doesn't matter, Isaac. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You should have put on your cape.
A nice white man like me is like, no, they don't blame me for that. It just doesn't happen.
That's a good point, though, Alan. Because these women, when you see the last room I was in with all them fucking black hyenas in there, this one bitch just snarky as hell, extremely passive aggressive, man. I mean, and she was an old bitch. This bitch got to be in her 50s, man. She one of them old shrews. And she admitted she only dates white men, and she's got a nice, proud picture of her arm in arm with George Lucas, smiling ear to ear, just happy to be under the graces of this white man, this rich white man, and bragging about how I stopped dating millionaires because millionaires, a lot of them are living check to check, and they look like they're living this life, but they're not. So I had to move up to billionaires and trillionaires. And I'm sitting there. So you're bragging about, and I don't fuck with niggas, and well, she didn't say fuck. I gotta give her credit. She didn't curse or anything. She was very articulate, but just the disdain in her voice for black men, and then when she spoke of how she's been able to enter these circles of trillionaire and billionaire white men, just her voice changed. And you see this with these black women when they're dealing with their own men. It's just this disgusting, vile attitude. But as soon as they get up underneath a white man, bro, it just, all that shit goes away, man. They're like little Susie Q's tiptoeing through the fucking tulips, bro. And it's the weirdest shit.
Alan, here's what makes me laugh. What you were saying, I will say, if ever had a black slash say like a black woman slash other black men. The thing that makes me laugh is when I was a hacker, U.S. government offered me a lot of shit, like a lot. I'm talking, money was always constant. Right? That was
when you were a what?
A hacker, computer hacker.
Oh, okay.
Your Uncle Sam offered me. Not even the world. Motherfucker was going into space with some of the offers. All I had to do was sell my soul. Not gonna lie.
I sold it.
Great offers. There was a lot of great offers. But I didn't take them. What the fuck do black women got exactly? I'm trying to understand. Save them for what? Look. What is going to come out of that? Their sons not being niggers? What? That's it. That's all. That's all that's going to. Our babies are going to be proper black men. That ain't a price. Bro, that ain't fucking worth shit. No. If I didn't sell my soul to Uncle Sam, which took me on, it's Uncle Sam. You going to get something worth it. What the fuck? That doesn't even make sense. Save them for what? No. They wanted to assimilate to America and be white women. That's what they wanted. That's what they said. That's what they've been screaming since 2018. So me, as a fully assimilated black man, I have one thing to ask them. Do you want fake hair or straight hair? You can't have both.
What do they tell you?
They don't say anything. They just say I'm a bitch ass nigga and, just scream off or they leave.
Yeah, well, sounds like you've had some interesting experiences, Isaac.
I mean, do y'all just do you not assume that the reason a lot of them treat black men the way they do might be just because they got daddy issues? Because there are white women that treat men like shit too, and white men in particular. And those white women, a lot of the times, they got daddy issues. But then, they'll hitch up with a black man, and they'll be good. So I was wondering if maybe that daddy issue.
I can't really say it's the whole dad thing. I would say it's a lack of actual parenting. Because this is something I can't honestly say about a lot of black girls that I saw growing up. The only thing that their parents basically did was give them shit so they could shut up. There was no actual teaching the child emotional regulation, conflict resolution, how to act in public. None of that really transpired. It was, all right, we going in the store, don't speak, don't say nothing, blah, blah, blah. And that's basically it. Yeah, and then when it came to the whole issue of actually how to interact with the opposite sex. They don't receive any instructions. It's just whatever you do is whatever you do. Blah blah blah. Fuck these niggas, and that's literally their instruction. Otherwise, black girls aren't really raised. I mean, black boys aren't either, but they're not really raised. It's just they're given shit so they can shut up when they cry. But more or less, they're left to their own devices, and that's how they grow up. That's how they exist until a lot of them are 18, and then when they get into the rest of the world, they're like, why isn't the rest of the world giving me things? Because your parents fucked you up. That's the real issue. Now, the white girls with daddy issues, I know what you're talking about. I've seen that. I've actually come across that. Yeah, that's weird as hell.
Yeah, they all have daddy issues because either the daddy didn't give them enough love or daddy gave them too much love. The daddy didn't give them enough guidance or we're over there, one or the other.
Daddy.
So yeah, I think to be fair, you know, whereas teenage boys start to separate themselves from their mother, though they still, you know, they still can hold their mother in high regard. They don't necessarily operate based on I don't know, mother worship. That isn't the right term. But with girls, and they know this, a girl's relationship with her father is much more important, I think. Now I'm just winging it, so I'm kind of, you know, thinking off the top of my head. But I think there is a difference between that and between boys and girls when they're raised and their relationships with the parent of the opposite sex.
I was gonna say, I think it's more mommy issues, Florida. But if we're talking specific women, if you sit and you listen to these black women talk about their upbringing with their mothers, and a lot of them, they've been, I mean, severely mistreated by their moms, man. Like it's like a competition thing. And I've heard a lot of them say, you know, they got kicked out at an early age, or, you know, when they started developing and dating boys, they started having issues with their mom because their mom was jealous, and, you know, and that caused a lot of strife and chaos in the household. And then two, there's the issue of the mom having so much animosity towards the dad because, you know, either the dad cheated or he didn't stick around, or, you know, whatever the case is, whatever narrative they try to explain away why the father's not involved. And they spend that daughter's childhood just literally, you know, men ain't shit, your daddy ain't shit, these niggas ain't shit, you know, your daddy ain't give me enough child support, ain't had a raise in his child support in years. And like you sit in these rooms and you listen, these women are having these type of discussions, bro. Like, this is typically what you hear in Florida. So I think it's more mommy issues, and then they're incorporating their mother's trauma with men and all the vitriol they've heard throughout the years, and they're kind of taking that on. So then when they step out and start dealing with men, and they pick that guy that they're physically attracted to, but he just ain't shit. He's not showing the signs to be a good husband, a good father long term, and then that man does what he does and they get hurt or they get burned, then I think they start going into that reserve of all the shit their mother taught them and put onto them, and they start using that to solidify, and then I think that's
you know what I don't think we success yet? How some of them sabotage the relationship. The man is a good man. He can buy, he can text, he can show up, and the women don't even cheat. And they will sabotage that relationship and go to the toxic.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, that's true too. Yeah. A bunch of good guys, man. Yeah, they didn't cheat. They didn't do anything. But again, the good guys are too soft, so they get turned off. They want the chaos, they want the emotional roller coaster, they want the stimulation, and the good guy who they claim they want is right there in their face, giving them everything that they claim they want. But then they lose respect for him because he's not giving them that emotional stimulation that they crave, and then they end up beating his reputation into the ground. What's going on, Nick? What's up, bro?
How you doing?
Not too bad, brother. How are you?
Good, man. Can't complain.
Good. I think a lot of these black women, man, I think it's their moms fucking them up. I think it's just black kids in general, man. Because like I said, 70% of us are raised in out of wedlock situations, and the overwhelming majority of those out of wedlock situations, the mother's the prime custodian of that household they're being raised in.
Well, there's something to be said about that, and like, I was raised by a single mother, bro. Like, I didn't have a dad teach me right from wrong in every situation. I didn't have a dad teach me how to go through difficult times, how to be like fiscally responsible, how to XYZ. Like you gotta learn that shit on your own when you're raised by a single parent, regardless whether it's mother or father. But something tells me that, well, maybe I'm just being stereotypical about it. There's pros and cons depending on which way. Like, if you had to pick one or the other, I don't know it would be easy to do. But yeah, I think if a part of it is just being raised by a single parent, one way or the other, you don't always have that experience of having both parents around, seeing what a good relationship looks like, what the foundations of that are, how it works in day-to-day life, and as the years go on, I don't know. You just gotta fucking test the waters for yourself at some point. And like for me, I was probably 28, 29 before I really decided that I didn't want to just be a single bachelor the rest of my fucking life. And still to this day, now I'm hyper picky about who it is that I'm gonna end up kind of committing with. So I dated a few girls for a couple of months here and there, XYZ, and like, I don't know, maybe I'm just being too picky at this point, but I don't think if I had my parents in a good relationship, it would have taken me that long to figure it out. Because I know I let a couple of good ones go along the way.
Yeah, I feel you on that one, man. Yeah. So so when you say that it could go both ways, what do you see in the real world, and what stats do you see that indicate that being raised by a father alone is gonna be equivalent to you're gonna have the equivalent results as what we've seen, kids being raised alone with just a mother?
I feel like, and this could just be completely hypothetical on my part, I feel like men that are raised by single fathers, as rare as that occasion is, generally are the ones that treat women like shit, or the ones that have overly aggressive dads tend to inherit that characteristic or personality trait from their dads and treat women like shit. I don't think I've ever met another guy that was raised by a single mother that would be physically abusive to women, and like even verbally abusive, emotionally abusive. That shit is just much more rare coming from men that are raised by single mothers. So there's something to be said about learning how to treat women when you grow up with a mother.
100%. Most of the abusive niggas I know was raised by a single black woman.
Well, maybe it's, like I said, this could just be hypothetical. I don't know if you want to give some anecdotal examples. I'm here to hear.
The one thing I can agree with you, Florida, is a person with mother issues that is a different type of reaction. Specifically, woman with mother issues. I'm not even going to say I fully understand it. I've asked people who do psychological research in what is exactly the cause of the, not even evil, just vitriol and outright, not aggression, but just violence that a lot of girls, when they do grow up, I've asked some people that study this, and they say there is no deeper explanation except for the girl doesn't want to be a woman, and I'm not gonna say I understand that, but that's what they tell me. They said if the mother does give them this extreme abuse of any type, the girl then just kind of women don't really compartmentalize or internalize anything, but the outward expression is just violent and hateful. That's just kind of what you get. And no, there's no deeper meaning besides that's just how they react. And if it continues, you just continuously get that sort of attitude until either the person learns how to deal with it or not. And I gotta be honest, I'm not a woman and I didn't have any abusive parents, so I don't know. I really can't say why not even a lot, almost all women that have bad mothers turn out like that. I don't understand it, but that's just how it goes. And yeah, like Sig brought up, a lot of black women are raised by very horrible moms or women. So you'll get this hateful, violent energy when there's no real reason for it.
The other aspect of it too, I think, is that like women that are raised by single mothers, they tend to value like the security aspect of a relationship more, like the comfortable kind of like financial security aspect of it more, where like they have seen their mothers struggle their whole lives, and maybe those women had to like start helping out around the house at an earlier age and don't want to have to be in that position. Maybe they tried something for love once or twice, regardless of like socioeconomic status, and those situations didn't pan out for one reason or another, and then they like gave up and want to just lean into like find me a man that's above my status. I've seen that a multitude of times. That's probably the most common kind of thing that I've recognized.
Yeah, I think and to be fair, I did ask Florida, what he's seen with his own eyes out in the field, so I know he's given his anecdotal perspective, just to be fair. But one of the things, like, kind of real world experience I've seen Florida is like out in like a shopping environment, at like Target or mainly Walmart. It really ain't happening at Target. But I have yet to see a dad who's alone with his children explode on a kid when the kid starts touching stuff or crying or whatever. But several times I've seen it, and it's specifically pertaining to black women. If their kid starts acting up in a store, don't touch that nigga, get your hands off, shut the fuck up, shut up nigga. I've seen it several times. I have yet in my 42 years on this earth yet to see a father out in the public respond that way to an unruly child.
A couple of reasons for that. But like my father personally, my dad used to lose his shit all the time for like the dumbest shit looking back at it. Just make fucking ridiculous threats, get impatient. Maybe my dad was soft, but like But I do hear what you're saying, and I agree with. I haven't seen that either.
Now the white women on the other hand.
I think there's a lot of reasons for it, though.
Oh yeah, now the white women on the other hand, they let their kids go berserk and they don't say shit. That shit's annoying as fuck. Kids screaming through the store for fucking an hour on a plane ride, and white moms just like, come on, please, Billy, come on, you know.
Well, that's since the 60s. Oh, you can't be too hard on your kids. Try and redirect their behavior. All that, modern BS.
I've never lived in, like, I just want to, clarify, I've never lived in, a very, very overly white area. I've only ever lived in pretty fucking diverse communities. Not just black and white, but, also equal and fair mixes of, Hispanics and Asians, too. So, when I'm coming at these conversations, guys, I'm not looking at it from a racial lens, because I don't know if I can recall enough one way or the other in that regard. But, I know white women that lash out at their kids too, who just get super impatient. And I think part of that is because, especially if they're single, they deal with a lot of internal stress. Whether or not they bring that stress upon themselves, I guess that's up for debate, and that's a different part of the conversation, but they're dealing with a lot of stress for one reason or another, and they don't always know the healthiest ways to deal with that stress. And if they don't have the father of their kid around to help do some discipline in public, sometimes maybe they feel like they're just they're over it, or they want to try to overly exert themselves so that maybe they think they're giving themselves a good look when they try to overly exert themselves, and it's backfiring on them. And then there's others who just are genuinely soft and they just don't give a shit, and they've just kind of given up all hope at that point. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I've seen that too. Yeah, what you talking about?
I think there's just a lot of anomaly. There's so many different ways that this shit plays out in real life. I don't know if it's racial whatsoever. I'm not a fucking sociologist or a fucking psychologist. I don't have enough deep relationships with enough of these types of people to actually draw real world conclusions. It's just really all hypothesis, quite frankly, as far as I'm concerned. But I wish it was different, right? I do think that obviously just stronger family structures in general would fix a lot of these fucking issues that we're talking.
Oh yeah, 100%. Especially that level of stress you talked about. I mean, yeah, I've seen it too. I think it's more prevalent in the households where the black woman is the custodian. Because black women are we just know black women are just a lot more aggressive, man. Than white women. Everybody knows that. But it's because that stress that the man is traditionally taken on as far as leading and the responsibility he's taken on for that family, they now have to bear that. And they haven't evolved yet to be able to deal with that. They're tens of thousands, if not millions of years, men have evolved to be able to deal with that type of pressure. And these women have it. And now that pressure is just being dumped on them. And because they're emotional creatures, man, they're just going to fucking weak the fuck out. They're going to chump the fuck out when it comes to dealing with these kids. So I think that plays a lot of part into it. That's why these women are so fucking stressed out now and complaining and in tears and crying and on all these fucking Adderalls and Prozacs and Acetaminophen or whatever the fuck they call them shits. But all these emotionally regulatory medications, they have to be on it in order to deal with the stress of maintaining and running a household on their.
Don't forget the alcoholism, Sid. They gotta have a drink down there every fucking day.
Yeah. That's why Kevin Samuels. I mean, he was joking, but there was some truth to it, man. Investing in wine companies, man. Box wine, fucking cat food, dog food. You know, the loneliness too. Like I've seen it a bunch of times, man. Most of these single women I've dated, especially these single moms, they got an animal in the house, some type of fucking animal in the house that they've included into the household that isn't being taken care of and given the correct amount of attention it should be. But they just on an emotional whim bought that dog, bought that cat, bought that lizard, bought that bird, bought that whatever, because they're trying to fill some type of emotional void that they don't have because there's no man in the house fulfilling that. So let me ask you a couple questions, Florida, and if you want to answer, you don't have to answer if you don't want to. But you said you've been, dating chicks, a couple months here, a couple months there. Are you ending most of these relationships, or is it the other way around? The ones that haven't worked out.
50-50. Like my biggest flaw in a relationship, though, at this point in my life, I'm stone cold, like emotionless at this point, to my own detriment, and like I have a hard time connecting on a deeper level, like with these women, and so either A, I just kind of get bored and stop talking to them when I feel like I'm just done, or B, they tell me that they don't see it going any further. So it is about 50-50 for me. But like to me, like I don't feel fucking love anymore at this point. It's not good. But
How old are you? So like in your 30s, 20s?
Yeah, I'm in my mid-30s.
Yeah, dude. I think I hit that point when I was about 27, 28. Not that I was having relationships, but I feel you.
It's something that I'm trying to work through. Like I said earlier, like by the time I was 28 or 29, that I did want to try to fucking find somebody and settle down with a family, but that's my internal struggle. I can't speak for everybody.
Let me ask you. Go ahead, Isaac.
The best thing I can say is don't compromise what you feel. If you want what you want, I don't care what anyone says about you gotta tone down. Nah, these women ain't toning down their expectations, they're actually increasing them. So me personally, I say when it comes to what you're looking for in a person, do the same. I just think some of us might have missed our window to do the whole get down family thing, because everyone says, and a lot of evidence shows, it's the mid-20s, 26, 27, 28, that's kind of around the time that you're supposed to do it, and everything after that is just getting chances. So me, I've kind of just settled on probably not going to get a family or married. Doesn't mean I don't want one, but yeah.
Got a question for you, Florida. Were you always emotionless like this as you described? And if not, what do you think was a driving factor to start getting you to navigate that way?
Yeah, mostly I was. I think I was kind of a 14, 15, maybe 16 years old by the time I kind of made up in my own head that like being a single bachelor might just be like a better way of like a more fun and like entertaining, more kind of fulfilling way to just live life. And maybe that is due to kind of the different relationships that I saw my own mother and sister going through, and the relationships that my friends' parents had. So I think I was an early age when I kind of like tried to start convincing myself that I just didn't ever want to be in a relationship. And then I met someone when I was in my early 20s that lasted several years, but like the emotion and connection thing for me just never really developed all the way for me. And I think it led her to like end up moving on from me. I'm like the prime candidate for like, oh, she divorced me because she said that I wasn't fulfilling her emotionally enough type shit. So I try to be cognizant of that all the time, especially with women who I'm just talking to casually, like, or on the app specifically. Like, I don't have to, I can try to be more honest and let my guard down a little bit more when I know that there's not like a relationship to try to maintain or develop. But I've kind of always been this way. And like I said, by the time I was 28 or 29, I think that's when I started being cognizant of the fact that I had to try to change that. But I feel like I'm just calloused at this point. Why? I don't know. But like I said, I'm sure it has something to do with just kind of my lived experience as far as my mom's relationships, when she was in and out of relationships a few times throughout my life. One of the guys treated her really well. They were together for like 10 plus years, but like he was the single bachelor for life also. He had 2 kids of his own with a woman. They got divorced. He never saw his kids. He had a not good relationship with their mother. He lived fucking in a townhouse by himself. Went to go play fucking golf with his buddies every Sunday. He was he was a manager of a car dealership, made fucking 6 figures, like just living the fucking life. And all he had to do was come over to our place every fucking like Saturday night or some shit, and like basically eat dinner with us, fuck my mom, and then go back to his fucking place and play golf the next day with the boys. You know? Like, that sounds like a fucking life, right? He never moved in. He never had like a serious father or paternal relationship with us. Although there were times where like he would kind of like intervene and try to discipline us in one way or another as the years went on. It just seemed like a pretty fucking dope way to live. By the time I turned 16, I was like, I want to be like that guy. And then one day I walked into my mom's house one day after coming home from work to meet up with her. She wasn't expecting me, and she had another guy over, and she was cheating on that guy. And first thing, that guy walks out of her room, and he's strapping up his fucking belt. And I'm like 19 at this point, and this guy's strapping on his belt as he walks out of my mother's fucking room without his shirt on. Bro, I was so fucking angry in that moment.
Oh, I believe it, bro. Yeah, I get it.
Everything in me to not bury him in my own backyard. And I saw my mom, and her face, the eye contact that we made, it's like she was so shame-ridden and so guilty in that moment. I don't know. And then I've seen my sister go through relationships and be like, number one, mistreated, but like on the other hand, also my sister fucking get overly emotional and like, you know, you guys say that black women are bitches and, you know, more aggressive and meaner. I don't know, dude. My sister's pretty fucking mean sometimes when it comes to dealing with men too. So I just think that's like some shit that everybody experiences, and I have all of this, and like the relationships that my friends' parents have had, maybe they're still together, but it's not overly like, it's not, it never like is an ideal relationship. The only ideal relationships that I've ever seen in my life come from my grandparents, who were together for like 70 plus years till death did them part. And, like, one of my aunts and uncles' relationships, who, again, were together till death did them part. So I don't know. It just seems like there's no winning when you invest in somebody like that. You know?
Yeah, totally get that. So, like, now that you're dating, like, you've had this epiphany where, like, you want a wife, you want a family, you're looking for something more serious, and you said you find yourself kind of getting bored, or, you know, that connection's kind of just not there, and you're like, this ain't working out, man, I'm out. So, like, what types of things are you looking for now to move you in the direction of you know, finding a woman to have a long-term relationship or a marriage with to start that path? Like, what are some of your demands and things that you're looking for in that type of, or expectations, I should say.
Well, that's where I'm stuck. I don't know.
Welcome to the club, brother.
Sometimes I feel like I want a fucking highly educated and, like, a woman who has her own job and, like, is also willing to put that aside if and when we end up having a family. On the other hand, sometimes I think I want to fucking find a 25-year-old that, like, still works in a fucking restaurant or, like, as a fucking daycare center operator and is willing to just throw it all to the side, you know? Like, sometimes, like, I go back and forth on that. Sometimes I think I want someone who has, like, a really strong relationship with, like, their entire family, and then other times I'm like, sometimes those women just come across as, like, too picky. I don't know if that's the right word, but like too demanding, maybe. So sometimes I think, like, oh no, I just need a fucking woman who has a terrible relationship with her dad, and, like, we can get along together over our fucking daddy issues. I don't know, you know.
That's funny, man. That's fucking hilarious, bro. Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, me and KP were going back and forth about that for years, you know, going from older, more experienced women, like, fuck these bitches, they're annoying as hell, it's too much to deal with. Then we go to the fucking younger women, it's like, fuck these bitches, are too young and dumb and inexperienced, that's frustrating too, you know what I'm saying? Like, just kind of going back and forth, like, you know, yeah. Go ahead, KP.
I was just laughing about that because when Florida was speaking, it was like multiple choice in my mind. I'm like, out of the first thing category he said, a woman that can put away her career, or a lady who works at a diner or whatever. Like, damn, that's, give me the lady at the diner.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah. Sometimes I think I'm okay with, like, a single mom that has, like, a young child or two from the same guy and is also willing to have another one or two. I'm okay. I think I'm okay with being a stepdad as long as she also wants at least one or two more with me. But then on the other hand, sometimes I'm like, well, I've been in relationships with single mothers actually multiple times, and they generally have less trust for men due to their experiences, which makes, you know, my job all the much harder.
Yeah, I noticed that as well.
I've seen a couple of them who, like, abuse alcohol and pills, like you were saying before, to the point where it's, like, detrimental to their own fucking well-being, because they'll get fucking blackout drunk on fucking Vicodin or Xanax and fucking red wine and pass out on the couch and not do shit with their kids, and I don't know, man. The older we get, though, it's not getting any easier, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Well, Sig, you got to step away from this one here.
Yo. KP, what's up, old man?
What's going on, mister?
What's up, Jason?
What's up? How y'all feeling? Y'all good?
Oh yeah, we're good, man. Man, I was looking for you, bro. I got into this one room, bro. After that room you were modding this morning, I got into another one, bro. Man, I was like, God damn, I hope 3Ski pops in, bro.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie to you. That room that I was in, bro, we be doing some bangers, bro. But it just be chaotic sometimes, bro. And that's kind of why I be the way I be, and I be having to like switch the way that I mod shit when I'm in your room compared to that, because you see how chaotic it is. So I don't know if you noticed, that's kind of why I have to assert myself the way I do and the things that I do. But when in your room, the way that you run it, I don't have to be that aggressive, and sometimes I gotta, figure that out.
No, you're good, brother. Look, that was your room. You had control of it, bro. You gotta control your room, man. It was a good room. I think you handled it very well, man. You handle it very well. So yeah, you gotta do what you gotta do to control your room and your space and run how you want to run it, bro. No harm, no foul there, bro. But I think you did a great job. I was telling the fellas, man, because we were kind of talking about these women are gonna try to get away with as much as the men allow. And I think your room was a great example that woman tried running that bullshit, but the men stuck together. And then we had some couple superstar women too that were holding her accountable as well. And then when the simp niggas started coming in trying to run that bullshit, and when these other little hyenas started coming in trying to fucking, play Johnny Cochran and weasel them out of the accountability, the fact that, all the men stuck to their principles and to their points and to the accountability, and that woman ended up shutting the fuck up for the last half of the room and had nothing to fucking say because she just knew she couldn't get over on it. So, yeah, man, I thought you did a great job, bro.
Appreciate that, brother.
What's going on, Rafi? Welcome. What's up, TC? What's going on, TC? What's going on? What's going on, Mike? What's up, brother?
Damn, ain't nobody chat since I've been here. Y'all see my chat? Fuck all this relationship shit, bruh.
What do you want to talk about, man?
I want to talk about overthrowing the government. You laughing, I'm not.
I'm with you on it, though.
I know you are. Most men are. Most men that see what's happening are. We have no fucking choice. What kind of man would sit by and let our government do what it's doing? What the fuck? It's clearly corrupt.
Listen, TC, I got nothing else.
It's clearly fucking corrupt.
I got nothing else to live for. If you want to start...
Neither do I, my nigga. I'm ready to assassinate whoever.
Jesus Christ.
The fuck? So y'all are okay with just living under a corrupt government? Is that what I'm hearing?
No.
Not from you, Florida. You already proved yourself. But Sig, you keep laughing, bro. I'm not even trying to come at you like that, but are you okay with how our government operates, bro?
Absolutely not. I have my reasons.
What you want to do about it, brother?
So again, when we can get enough men together to start that fight and sustain
that fight,
I'm willing to do it. But again, it's about winning the war and not just winning battles. And here's the thing: it's the same principle as military tactic, brother. As Marines, we were taught we don't backtrack, we don't retreat, right? But I think that's fucking retarded ass logic. If all your men are down, you're the only survivor, and you got 15, 20 Taliban members surrounding you, I think that's fucking retarded. You might have a chance, but if you go into that battle, just you against 15 other motherfuckers, it's a guaranteed death. And then what do we get accomplished? You know what I'm saying?
I disagree. So that's the exact mentality that they hope that we have. Therefore, no action is enacted. Because if you think, oh, well, the enemy is too big for me, and if I were to do anything, it wouldn't make a difference, then nobody's ever going to take action.
Okay, let me give you an example.
That's exactly what you're promoting right now.
Okay, I hear what you're saying. I'll give you an example. Timothy McVeigh. Government hasn't got any less corrupt. Old boy with, what's his name? Mangiani, who shot the United Healthcare CEO. The healthcare system's still fucking people over. That's a one-man show right there. Both of those one-man shows.
Please remind me what Timothy McVeigh did specifically.
He blew up that building and killed hundreds of fucking people.
What kind of building was it?
It was a government building, wasn't it?
No. Please re-look into that. What kind of building was it?
I can't.
It was a fucking school, brother. It was a school building.
No, that wasn't a school. No, that wasn't a school building. Okay, let me look it up real quick. Yeah, it's been a while since I read up on it. Yeah, but it wasn't. Yeah, it was a. Yeah, I remember it being some type of government building, bro. Yeah. But I was
the fact that we don't know off the top of our head is proving my point, nigga. Like, we need to be tighter than this. Bro, you obviously, whatever the fuck they targeted didn't do shit. You know what I'm saying? So obviously, if you're targeting shit that doesn't do anything, then it doesn't do anything. Oh, it's the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building. Let's see what that does. The United States Federal Complex, Oklahoma City. It was a Social Security Administration building. Who gives a fuck about Social Security? That does nothing. So I would argue they targeted the wrong shit.
What should he have targeted then, in your opinion?
You need to target the people that make the decisions.
Then go do it.
Social Security people don't make decisions.
Go do it, TC.
I mean, if anything, that's like...
Nigga, how do you know I'm not, nigga?
Well, shut the fuck up about it and do it.
Ain't no shut the fuck up, nigga. It gotta be more than me, nigga.
No, you gotta stop talking about it.
Talking about some shut the fuck up, then you're worse than me, nigga.
TC, you gotta stop talking about it on the fucking
What are you doing, though? What are you
talking about it on the recording app?
Mister, you're the exact type of person that they want to have. You're the type of nigga to sit there and be like, oh,
I'm not there because I don't even work for them niggas,
you're on the fucking sidelines your fucking self, nigga.
You probably got a job and work for them. You probably got a job and work for them, TC.
Nah,
what do you do for a living, TC?
Nah, I'm retired. What do you do for a living, nigga? You got a bitch in your PCR with a fucking graduation picture, nigga. You young as a bitch, nigga.
Yeah, it's my wife, bitch ass nigga. Yeah, it's my wife, bitch ass nigga.
Don't talk to me.
Now what?
I'm 37,
bitch ass nigga.
You're too young for this.
So dumb ass
you and your wife, nigga. Fuck you and your wife, nigga. You talking
soft
about
as hell, bro. You're not gonna do nothing.
How am I soft when I
know you're not gonna bust a grape?
You the one talking about don't do it.
They know you're not gonna bust a grape though. You just talking.
What are you
just fucking talking.
What are you going to do?
Just talking, bro.
What are you keep talking about me, but let's talk about you. What are you going to do?
I'm not talking about throwing the government.
You're not gonna do nothing, nigga. You're gonna sit there with your little bitch ass wife and try to get sex every day and try to raise some kids. And not do shit, nigga. You ain't activist. You ain't no activist neither, nigga.
TC, where you from? Hey, TC, where you from?
TC. The point
you a clubhouse nigga. You a clubhouse nigga.
Where you from?
You a clubhouse nigga.
TC, where you from? I'll show you
how. With your ugly ass wife.
Hey, where you from? Where you from, TC?
I went to Hampton University. I'm Alpha Phi Alpha.
No, I'm saying, where you from?
DBL, nigga.
My homie Alpha. Hey, my homie Alpha too.
Fuck up, nigga.
Hey, my homie Alpha too.
Fucking person, nigga. I live in town.
We can set this shit up and I will beat your ass.
You should fucking see me, nigga.
We can set this shit up and I will beat your ass, TC. We can set this shit up and I will beat your ass. Fuck, you a bitch. Shut up, bro. All that yelling ass shit like a bitch, bro. You act like a bitch. All I was trying to tell you is that you doing the wrong thing if you gonna do that with your plan or whatever the fuck you gonna do to throw the government. Like, bro, these niggas be disrespecting folks and don't know that they'll die in real life. I don't get it. I don't get it. You ain't even playing with the government. What you playing with me for? I could touch you before the government do. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, and that's the thing is like, I forgot I had hand raising on, so sorry it took that long to get him off the stage, but yeah, I mean, it's just fucking retarded. It's like you're on a Clubhouse app to convincing other niggas to overthrow the government when you haven't even made the first move. Like, I get it. I totally get it. I get it. We all have grievances, but I don't think we've gotten to the point yet to where we're really feeling the pain for us to make that fucking move. I think it's gonna take a little bit more to wake men up to be able to consolidate.
Sig, I'm not making that move with niggas like him, bro.
100%.
Them niggas,
100%.
Them niggas is dumb. They have no type of strategy. It's just take over the government. Oh, what we gonna do? Like, bro, like all of that rah-rah shit. You could tell you was raised by a single mom, bro. Like, what the fuck is going on, bro? You act like your mom's, gang. You gotta relax. And hey, look, and this is something I had to calm down on too, man. Cause you know we come from where we come from, and sometimes we gotta be that type of way. But the brother even ran down. He not even like that. Nigga, you think if you was an alpha doing all that shit that you was doing, they would let you be in their fraternity, nigga? The alphas is the fraternities are the fraternities when it comes to black alphas. I mean, when it comes to black fraternities, my nigga is an alpha. And he be looking at me crazy when I be crashing out. Like, these niggas be just on the app fronting, man. I don't even know why he talking like that. He could get his whole fucking fraternity and chapter in some deep shit for no reason. Oh, like, niggas be so goofy, man. They talk too fucking much. And I ain't gonna lie to you. To me, that's the biggest mistake that black people have made in history. They have always displayed their moves, their feelings, and went too deep into shit that they should just act on and stop talking about. But hey, who am I? Who am I?
I'm pretty sure the black and gold will be disappointed in that run.
Hell yeah. If I told, man, I would literally, my best friend, KP, my best friend, is the alpha and the president of his chapter. I could have been in a fraternity if I wanted to, bro. That shit wasn't for me. I was too gangster for them. But to deal, man, I don't know where these niggas be growing up, what courage these niggas be having after they go to college, and what type of shit that they be talking about. Like, what the fuck was that, bro? All I see is
that was very profound. And that's what I was going to say. You said something very, very profound. Why would you say all this shit on the recorded app? Motherfucker, you trying to get everybody flying?
That's what I'm saying. That's what he was saying. Niggas just put all their moves, put all their fucking strategy out there because they wear it on their sleeve because they're fucking like Timothy McVeigh. Nigga was like going around rah before he knew what he did. He just fucking put it up, suited up, and did what the fuck he felt he had to do.
When he got some manure and got a white van and parked that bitch and said, fine.
And why you do that shit every time? And it's like, if y'all gonna learn something for the motherfucking cracker, learn that. Learn to quit talking about your motherfucking moves and just do it. What the fuck?
Killdozer built that fucking that bulldozer.
Oh yeah.
When that nigga was he rah. He spent how many fucking months piecing that motherfucker together and just went out there and did what he had to do, man.
How the fuck did they destroy that thing?
He ended up getting it stuck when he ran it into the side of a building and it got stuck because there was like a drop, so he couldn't get himself out of it. That was the only reason. But if it wasn't for that, oh yeah, they would have been able to stop that thing.
Shit, they had everything from the state come in to the stop that thing. Now they got shit gonna penetrate that damn thing.
That nigga was not on Clubhouse rah about the shit.
We just came in the room.
You guys know. If we call the government is being red, what we gonna do, guys? Let's throw the government.
He's popped in and out a few times for it, but we're not. He's not a regular.
Does he do that shit?
Yeah, I think I remember. Because when he started his spiel, man, I'm like, yeah, I think I recall this nigga being on that type of shit before last time I read it. So, but definitely not a regular.
The odds are that he is part of the government.
That's possible.
It's probably fucking high. High probability and high on weed.
Niggas talk like that publicly. I be thinking they police.
Yeah,
Of course.
Every time, bro.
So I'm not saying shit.
I be having my little crash outs and shit, man. But I ain't saying nothing that's gonna like incriminate me. I might call you a bitch ass nigga and all that shit, but I ain't gonna say, I don't know, I might tell you I wanna box you.
Hey, man, I didn't know that was your wife. Appreciate she's beautiful, man. She had a beautiful smile, looks feminine. So you got you a good pick there, brother.
Appreciate you, bro.
TC, man, hey, if you're gonna come on this stage, bro, you need to
Oedipus type complex?
Yes.
The fuck is that?
They tend to.
Come on, work with me. I don't know what the fuck is
Okay, cool. I got you, bro. They tend to date someone like their mother.
Okay, that makes sense. I mean, they say TKP. I don't know that's up in the air because they say when a man really loves a woman, he acts like the true boy. Like you kind of get that motherly love from your woman. So I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I get what you're saying. My girl don't really act like my mom, though, so I can't really relate with that. But I get what you're saying, and I can see that with a lot of these niggas too. So that ain't a part of the game, though.
And the reason why I said that because a lot of moms, especially old school moms, they know when to shut the fuck up, go make a sandwich and go wash your hands and let's go to bed. But these new school chicks, all that they want to do is motherfucker argue and fight. And these niggas is raised by them. That's all they want to go date. Is bitches that want to argue and fight. I'm gonna put up your dukes. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that would go back to us having to teach the young brothers that, I don't know, bro, the simple thing is KP is just living by example. How to live by example. Fuck the words. You can talk to a person till you blue in the face. Lead by example.
That's me.
Stick your hand in a garbage can and hoping to find a brand new sandwich or some shit. It's like, what the fuck is this?
But I'm back. Is that bitch ass nigga still here?
What? Oh, he is. Damn. Who are you speaking about?
It was either Florida. I think it was Florida. It wasn't no. Seems like a responsible man. He has a baby in his picture. I respect.
You were talking about Mr. the one with this fucking white.
Oh, I apologize. It wasn't you. I apologize.
Listen, man, I've had those thoughts go through my head about like, you know, like how feasible would it be to join a militia and do some crazy shit like you were talking.
Hey, I can take that shit somewhere else with that one.
I'm not the
How do you have the V for Vendetta PTR and you're scared to talk about this, bro? That's literally hypocritical. Do you know what that movie was about? It was about overthrowing government, nigga. Take that PTR off, nigga. That's crazy. You have the literal embodiment of government overthrowing, and you're like, oh, let's not talk about it. You don't deserve that PTR, bro. That's crazy.
But did you notice he never talked to anyone? He stuck to himself.
Because it was a fucking movie, nigga.
No, it was based on a real guy.
It was based on real shit.
But it was still a movie.
Yeah, but Guy Fawkes was really that guy in real life.
Yeah, but he's not. K is not. K is not.
How do you know?
He's a fucking clubhouse guy that gets his pussy worried when somebody talks about it on his fucking house. Fucking lame ass nigga. Talking about some don't talk about it here. The fuck?
Talk to yourself in the audience, bitch.
Oh my god, what the fuck?
Tired of listening to you, bro. You know, I'm starting to see more and more. These smooth brain motherfuckers, they ain't no grooves in their brain, just smooth. Oh, trust me, he gonna come back with us.
But I really have like what would it take for me to like feel inclined that would be necessary? I don't know if I have the answer to that yet. You know, what it would take. And sometimes I feel like fucking I got nothing else to live for, so if the opportunity ever presents itself for a good enough reason, maybe I'd be in. But then on the other hand, I'm like, I got nothing else to live for, so what's the fucking point of me getting involved?
Yeah, hopefully I have grandkids, so you know, I should live by your time.
I didn't, God forbid it ever got to that point. I would only be okay with, like, using the legal system and the way that the system is currently set up to be able to infiltrate it through the legal method and then change it from the inside. Like, that's the right way to fucking do it, man. Because then at that point, what makes you any better than the fucking ISIS regime and the fucking the revolutionary fucking regimes and fucking groups in the Middle East that we've largely funded and fucking given firearms to? Like, what makes you any better than them at that point? Then you're the shithole. You're the asshole that you despise.
Now, if you went about it correctly, and how easy it is to run for council to start making changes.
Right.
See, damn, it's simple.
And that, quite frankly, like guys like him, if they really do feel that fucking motivated, go start at your local fucking city level, dude.
Yeah, and get your group of people like-minded. Say, hey, all these seats come up in November. Let's take them.
But a guy like that, who has the audacity to come on this app and talk like that, he doesn't have
Too reckless.
not only too reckless, but he doesn't have a types of guys that get involved. Guys like him, I don't know what he's angry about, but he's the fucking.
Nobody's angry.
It's inspired by Malcolm, but like motivated by ISIS type shit.
His dad is sitting in prison for 27 years and he mad. What's up, Alan? Alan, woke me up now.
Just listening. And driving.
Alright, where we driving to?
My tranny hooker for my weekly visit. I love those trannies' ass ears. What can I say?
Damn.
No, I gotta pick somebody up. That's but I'll say this, and I gotta go. You know, from the earlier conversation, and this could be a reflection of me, but every woman I ever dated always had issues with their mother, almost to the point of abject bitterness.
And how did that work out for you?
Well, not too well.
Which one being more fucked up? Are you stick with mama issues or with daddy issues? Well, that's not true. Welcome back, Sig. You guys are more than welcome to come up to the stage in the audience. What's going on up there? What's up, dog? Not a hell of a lot, man. Just sitting out this fucking heat, man.
Last week we had a freaking heat wave over here. Humidity past 80%. Kid you not. You're just literally sitting and it's like sweat dripping down your body. Disgusting. Fucking disgusting.
As soon as you wake up, you walk outside, and it's insane. Maybe you wake up in the morning, walk outside,